Thank you, Nazra. Thank you, Nazra ma'am, for the quick introduction. And good evening, one and all. I'll welcome you in the evening session of the 6 days FDP. The 6 days AICT ATAL FDP is on the driving innovation for sustainable urban growth, smart cities, mobility, logistics, and startup ecosystem. The aim of this to equip all of you, all the participants like faculties, PG students, and the PhD scholars. It is about the thorough understanding of the key factors which are driving modern urban development. So each day which has been planned, it's properly structured to provide you valuable insights into the cutting edge trends and transformative innovations. Day one lays the groundwork by discussing the foundation of smart cities and their contribution to sustainable urban growth and smart mobility solution for improved efficiency. Day two will examine the influence of Industry 4.0 on logistics and strategies for nurturing startup ecosystems. Likewise, days three and four will focus on entrepreneurship, smart logistics, and building sustainable infrastructure for startups. Consecutively, Day 5 will highlight public private partnerships and the use of AI and IoT technologies, leading to Day 6, which integrates discussion on the innovation policy framework and cohesive solution for smart cities. So, if overall we'll see the program will underscore the significance for the Atal Innovation Mission and Tinkering Labs in fostering creative and sustainable solutions for urban challenges. I wish all the very best to all the participants. Please make fullest of it because it is the understanding and the learning from each other and developing our own perspective. So all the very best to everyone and over to you, Nazra ma'am. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Pankaj ma'am, for introducing the participants to the program. And I hearty welcome to our principal, Dr. R.N. Subbarao. I invite you, sir, to address the session.
Good evening, madam. Am I audible?
Yes, sir.
Yes, very much, sir. Very much, sir.
Thank you.
Yes.
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening, sir.
Respected the chief guest and also the keynote speaker of today's session, Mr. Manivannan, an IAS officer who is the Principal Secretary, Social Welfare Department, Government of Karnataka, participants from various institutions across the country. This 6 days FDP program organized by IIC of St. Francis College is being done with the purpose of understanding of smart cities, focusing on urban planning, sustainability, and the integration of advanced technologies. This program also enables to understand the impact of digital transformation, technologies like IoT, AI, and industry for in enhancing urban logistics and mobility systems. The focus is also on to throw an insight on fostering startup ecosystems within smart cities through innovation hubs, incubation centers, and the government initiatives. In fact, we are very happy to host this 6 days FDP program. This FDP program, I'm sure, will enable the participants to understand all these issues. I am also confident that there would be a lot of deliberations happening on all these issues. St. Francis College, a very young institution located in Kormangla, has a small history of just 6 years. It's a 6-year baby, but in spite of that, lot of academic and non-academic programs are being organized by the institute, not only for the faculty of the college, even to other faculty and research scholars located in various parts of the country. And this is one such program that is being initiated by the St. Francis College. For this 6-day FDP program, today being the very first day, amongst us, we have Mr. Manivannan, who is an IAS officer, and also the Principal Secretary, Social Welfare Department, Government of Karnataka. Sir, on behalf of the management of St. Francis College, on my personal behalf, and also on behalf of everybody who have assembled, I wholeheartedly welcome you, sir. I also welcome all the participants from nook and corner of the country, and I could see there are more than 200 participants, who are ready to know the lot of changes that are happening in the field. So I welcome every one of you, and I'm sure this 6-day program will definitely provide and give all your requirements and all expectations of you. Have a wonderful day as well as the remaining 5 days. Once again, welcome to each one of you. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, sir. Now it is my honor and pleasure to introduce our esteemed guest for this first session in the evening. Shri Manivannan is a senior civil servant in the Indian Administrative Service, IAS, based in Bangalore, and he has been working to empower citizens to engage with the government and collaborate with it for the last 2 decades. He has held various government roles, including managing cities with populations over 1 million, serving as the Commissioner of Districts and as the CEO of utility companies. In these roles, he has effectively used social media to gain support from citizens. His goal is to create an effective and sustainable participatory governance platform that ensures transparency and accountability in India. To this end, he has been working with citizens who bring technology and managerial expertise to solve pressing, challenging issues in the state of Karnataka. He will be dedicating his time to mobilizing citizens and negotiating with stakeholders to drive the project forward with the ultimate goal of strengthening the foundations of democracy and equality in the world's largest democracy. As Secretary Government of Karnataka, Major Manivannan is involved with policy making, budgeting, and overseeing the execution of the welfare schemes and policies connected to the scheduled castes and scheduled tribes in the state of Karnataka, whose population is around 15 million. Sir has been an alumni of the prestigious institutions like Harvard Kennedy School and NIT Trichy. Thank you, sir, for honoring us with your virtual presence. I now request you to take over the session. Thank you so much, sir. Sir, I'll stop sharing my slides so that I can share yours.
Yes, please. Please.
Yes, definitely, sir.
Good evening, sir.
Good evening, everybody.
Good evening, sir.
Sorry for the little delay. True to its name, the metropolitan city held me on the road thanks to the rain.
But we are still
So
on time, sir.
thank you so much. So at the outset, I want to thank Professor Tiwari for giving me this opportunity and all the audiences here. I see 219 participants. It's a privilege and honor to be with you here. Thank you very much. So I have 18 PowerPoint slides, not much. And I'm going to share with you what I have learned in my 25 years of public service with the Government of Karnataka. So, ma'am, you can help me in sharing the slides actually?
Sir, I've started sharing the slides. Aren't they
Yes.
visible? Pankaj ma'am, are
Yeah,
they
yeah,
visible?
I can
Yes,
see the
ma'am. Yes.
slide.
Yes,
If you
yes.
can go to the slide share view. Now this is edit view. Yeah,
Yes,
yes.
yes, definitely, sir. Definitely,
Thank
sir.
you.
Is that okay? Fine, sir.
Yeah, this is fine, ma'am. Now, thank you so
Yes.
much for this. So, to recollect the title, ma'am, you can show the title slide so that people may be aware of what you're going to talk for the next 15 minutes or so. So, we are going to talk about innovation for sustainable urban growth. And when you talk about sustainable urban growth, the focus is on the smart cities, the project of Government of India, which deals with mobility, logistics, startup ecosystem, etc., etc. But I understand that our main focus will be on innovation because Government of India and probably all of you here, you have realized the importance of innovation in ensuring things can be sustained because change is the constant they say. So if things keep on changing, then the solution to the issues which keep changing should also change. That means the problems keep morphing into more and more difficult. So we have to constantly innovate to handle the complex problems actually. The problems Bangalore city had 50 years back were different. What we have today is different. There's a transformation, there's a morphing, so the solutions what we had in 1950s have to be different from the solution what we are having here. So my friend Ashwin from Bangalore keeps telling me that the problems run at 100 kilometers per hour and the solutions run at 50 kilometers per hour. So we are never actually able to catch and solve the problems. So why this gap? Why do the problems run very fast and the solutions run slow? We'll see in this small discussion. Ma'am, the first slide now. Yes, yeah, if you can go to the next one. Yes. So I've tried to make it brief. The urban challenge for the 21st century. So what is different in cities? For the government, there is no difference at all. The same offices, the same systems work for the cities also and for the rural landscape also. The same system. There will be, you have the common chief secretary at the top of the government for the bureaucracy. I mean, there's a cabinet, then you have the chief secretary, and there are different departments. You have rural development department, you have urban development department. Both will be headed by a secretary, supported by joint secretaries, additional secretaries, a group of officers. Then there will be somebody who will be the executive head, whom we normally call as commissioner actually. In urban development department, we call him a director. There's a director for municipal administration who controls the policies of all the cities in the state of Karnataka. We call him DMA, Director for Municipal Administration. Now, each city has a council which is supposed to be autonomous, and there is an officer appointed by the state government who is responsible for implementing the decisions taken by the city councils, but ensuring that they're within the framework of law. It means while the council is given the authority to decide whatever it wants, the commissioner has to ensure that those which can be implemented within the budget, within the rules, can only be implemented. And he has a system which is a replica of what we have in the state. You will have a deputy commissioner, you will have some other clerical staff to implement it. So what is different then? Cities have very high density of population, hence a small, geographical problem can actually affect a large population. For example, clogging of drain. So if a drain gets clogged in a rural landscape, maybe a village or in a, near some national highway outside the city, it affects very less people. It doesn't make a news. But if the drain affects somebody in, say, Murugesh Palyar and Koramangala, there is going to be a huge outcry. TV is going to cover the same thing. What the problem is same, but just because it's occurring in a place having a high density of population, it gets a different type of coverage. It gets a different type of what do you call it? Different type of the problem becomes very serious just because it is occurring in an urban landscape. And the second is that in general, the population is more vocal than compared to the rural population. These are all from experience. It doesn't mean that rural population are not vocal. We find farmers very vocal. We find women very vocal. What I'm trying to say is being vocal is a requirement in a town, in an urban area, because you have a high competition. The density is so high for the number of people competing to survive, number of people competing for job, number of people competing for opportunities is very high. So you have to be vocal to survive in a city. You know very well, a person in Delhi, a person in Bangalore, in Chennai, they are much more vocal, and we can put with a quote, we can call smart, compared to the counterpart in the rural. So if we have 10 people who are very vocal in urban, there may be 5 people in rural area actually. I'm just trying to make a general comparison. The third is that time is money, all of us know. But here in the urban area, the time is actually lots and lots of more money because the productivity is generally high in the city. You're going to have, I mean, big companies located here, and they pay quite well. And if you're not available for so and so time, it affects the productivity. They say, na, band in Bangalore city, so much is the loss. Can you have a band in some 2-3 villages, or maybe some same geographical area in, say, Chikkabalapur or in some rural area? Would you think the same money would be lost? No, it's much less. So the cost of time in urban environment is much high. Because the cost is high, the citizens are impatient because they tend to lose more money. If you are going to, your work is going to get affected, you are going to put into more loss actually. That's why people are more impatient. So these are the three things which are different from a rural setup, and hence the government has to equip itself to handle this in a different manner. We have to see why it is not happening. And I'm only talking about the government. There are other stakeholders in the city administration, but government is one of the important stakeholder, and I have been working with the government. So I thought I should talk about what I have learned actually. Ma'am, next slide, please, if I can. See. Yes. So what do we need for smart cities? We have seen what are the issues. So I am just fourth is giving you the possible solutions. Then we'll see how it's important. The first and foremost thing is we need a different form of governance, which is extremely fast to react and able to provide immediate solutions. So this is what I call it innovative, because this is something which we require. A different form means which will constantly improve itself and which is extremely fast. We understood the value of time. So whatever I do in a municipality, in a corporation, has to be much faster than compared to rural area. But in reality, the same government rules are applicable here also and rural area also. We have the rules and regulations for how to conduct the business in the government, and that is more or less same in both the places. Suppose you compare the Bangalore Mahanara Palike, and if you compare the Jila Panchayat of Dharwad, the rules are same. And how do you expect us to respond differently? Second, there is a need to delegate. So the authority and delegation of power as it exists in Bangalore today has been done 20 years back. So 20 years back, what was the delegation? Same delegation now also. In fact, I will not even call us a delegation. A delegation means the complete power should be given to the local officer. Here, if you find this, there is something clogged in, say, MG Road in Bangalore city, if you have to set it right, the local officer has only power up to 5 lakh rupees. Suppose it cost him more than that, then he starts one file and sends it up. And it keeps on traveling, goes through some 5, 6 tables, gets approved somewhere, again comes back in through 5 tables. So 10 tables, it takes a lot of time. Suppose your people are not ready to wait, if it is an emergency situation, then the local officer takes a huge risk in violating a norm to satisfy or to ensure the problem is solved immediately. How many officers are ready for that? They are not ready. So what do? They think, I rather be getting scolded by the citizens than violate a rule and go to jail tomorrow. In private companies, you do a mistake, you do a lapse, what will happen? At the maximum, they will terminate your job. In government, because the money involved is a public money, you do a mistake, you could very well end up in jail. That's why people in the government do not take any risk. They don't mind getting scolded. They grow thick skin, but they don't want it to violate any regulation, which are 20 years old and definitely anarchic. So then third thing is such a fast decisions that if they are delegated, they are likely to involve mistakes. Why? Because whenever you give a new authority or power to somebody, they tend to first disuse, misuse, and then they start using it. So there is a time which is required to put to use any authority. Within that time, mistakes will happen. Some are by default, some are by design. So those mistakes which happen by default, we have to absorb it. If we don't absorb it, then nobody will be willing to learn. So if I give a cycle to a small child and ask him to learn the cycle, he's bound to fall 2 times. Suppose I tell him, every time you fall, you will be whipped 100 times. Do you think anybody can learn cycle? Nobody will go for it. But that is how the government functions. You give authority to somebody, you expect him to learn, but if he makes a mistake, he's not the mistake is not condoned. It is severely punished because the government assumes that every mistake is done willfully. That is the assumption. The person has to argue and show that I did not do it willfully. There was a draconian section in the Prevention of Corruption Act. The present government, in Government of India, thankfully removed it. What it said, if you have done any action, any officer, and if somebody has get benefited out of it, which happens normally. I take a decision today. I take a decision to come and talk here. There are people who are getting benefit out of it. The government says if anybody is getting benefit out of you, and if it is not a public benefit, then you are guilty of corruption. Yes, this was there. Thankfully, our Honorable Prime Minister Narendra Modi sir, his cabinet removed it actually. Thankfully. So now I have to, somebody charges me, they have to prove it. Earlier, how it was, I have to prove that I have not done this mistake. I have not done it wantonly. I have not done to benefit anybody. I have tried to do a good job. I have to prove myself. So this is what is there. Then who will take decisions? Nobody will take decisions. That is why we need a legislation that will absorb the genuine mistakes done by the officials. I'm saying clearly genuine mistake. Who will decide genuine? Let's discuss and let's discuss. Then we have a jury. Let us have a group of people, whichever way you want to do. But genuine mistakes should be distinguished from wanton mistakes. Punish the wanton mistakes, no problem at all. But there are mistakes which happen genuinely while learning. Whenever you learn, you are bound to make mistakes. These learning mistakes should be covered, should be hedged actually. Yeah. So this is the third thing. So these are the things which we need to do. And let's go to the next slide. I'll say where it starts, how to come to this solution actually. Okay. So we talked about doing things fast. We talked about delegation, and we talked about the participation. So all these things actually require one basic foundation. The foundation is innovation. Without innovating, if you do a legislation for observing mistakes, delegation, and the change in the government structure, if you do without bringing innovation, within 5 years, whatever change you have brought will not give you output as required. You will not be able to run at 100 km/h to catch the problems running at that speed. So what you have to do? You have to ensure there is innovation on a daily basis. That's what I said in the first point. Because even with delegation, transparency, participation, we will only improve but cannot change the orbital level. Now we are running in one orbital level, we have to jump into another level. We need to do something innovative. Otherwise, we will be doing only small changes actually, which cannot ensure sustainability. To ensure sustainability, you have to really innovate actually. So well, I am putting more effort on this innovation because I want this point to go into the minds of all of you that innovation is actually the key. If you don't innovate, you cannot be a smart city, you cannot bring a sustainable city. So let us go into innovation, why it is not happening in India now. Next slide, please, ma'am. Yeah, so this is, we are very fond of comparison and we should also do because everything is relative in this world. So let's compare the neighbor whom we should actually compare because of the similar population, China, and because we were almost in the same level some 30 years back. In 1993, when I was in the final year of my engineering degree, China and India were almost close when it came to the per capita GDP per person. So China was in the 165th place in the world, 165th place in the world when it came to 154th place in the world, and India was at 165. It means India was much worse that time also, but China was little better. The gap between both of them was only 9 places. China in 154, India in 165, very close to each other. Fast forward to 30 years, in 2023, China has moved from 154 to 72nd place. Now it is the 72nd one actually. And when it comes to India, we are at the 125th rank. It is the 125th rank. This is the per capita GDP. So the 9-point gap has become so wide, 125 and 72. Where has China gone? And where are we? Why did it happen? What was the reason? One could be, there are so many reasons, but one could be that China started innovating. We'll see how China is innovating in the next slide. Yes. So this is a small comparison between India and China. So if you see that actually, first one is this something called, I mean, economic complexity index. If you can read it, I'm sorry, this slide is little, I know the numbers are a little small. So China is at 1.01. This economic complexity in trade is what is the complex material we are trading, which the country trades. India on the complexity index is 0.57 and China is 1.01. Very simply put, China is able to innovate at a much higher rate, and we are not able to do that. So on that, our rank is out of 124 countries which they have ranked, we are in the rank of 42. China is at 24. Almost they are halfway much better than us actually. This is because they are able to do export, they are able to manufacture complex product and export them also actually. So this comparison I have shown to show how much they are ahead of us actually. Let's go to the next slide, ma'am. So you all know that one of the ways to actually measure the innovation, one of the ways actually is to know how many patents are given to a country in every year actually generally. So the numbers looks interesting. This is the patent grants in 2022. You will see that China is in number one position. Is in number one position. And where are we? We are at sixth position actually. You can see China, United States, Japan, Republic of Korea, European Patent Office, and India. 30,000 odd. Look at where China is. 7 lakh and odd. Where is China and where is India? There's absolutely no comparison. That's what I said. Innovation. China is innovating and we are not innovating to the level we should be innovating actually. Next. The rank of sixth, which was looking a little better, becomes very, very sad when we see what is the annual patent application divided by million of population. Means how are we doing compared to the population? Then you'll find that it is actually Japan which is doing very well. In this chart, go to the right extreme. For every 1 million population in Japan, there are 1,785 patents being filed. China, for every 1 million, 1,000 patents are being filed. Let us see how many India is filing. India is filing for every 1 million, 19 patents. How many? 19. Where is the comparison? Where is the comparison? Where are we standing? Please, let's wake up actually. There's no point in we saying we are doing great, we are doing this, we are going to be a leader and all. Basics, basic things, innovation. We are at 19 patents are filed for every million population. China is filing 1,000. Japan is filing double. Leave Japan, they are quite advanced. We have to compare ourselves with China actually. Even small countries like UK, 172. Brazil is filing little better than us, 22 they are filing. South Africa is 30. Look at Iran, 116 patents per million population. We have to innovate. If we don't innovate, we will not be able to come out of this rut. We can only keep talking. Basics are not good. We won't be able to do anything much. Let's go to the next slide, ma'am, actually. I see the questions. We'll come to the question session later. So there is one more thing called the Global Innovation Index. This also takes into the patent and other issues also. In this thing, in the Global Innovation Index, India is at 40th place. Where we are? 40th place. Let's see which are the countries coming in the top. Switzerland, Sweden, United States, United Kingdom, Singapore, Finland, Netherlands, Germany, Denmark, Korea, France. China is on 12. China is on 12. Korea, 10th. Look at all the countries there. Austria, Norway, Luxembourg, Ireland, Belgium, Italy, small Portugal. Portugal is at 30. So I am just showing you the mirror actually, where we are standing, because unless we understand, we face the reality, we will not be able to take further steps actually. So I'm just showing you this, how much important is innovation and how much we are lacking actually. Next slide, madam, please. There is a question also coming, but anyway, I'll answer in the slide itself why you are lacking. Okay, innovation. Okay, how does the innovation pyramid work? So the innovation works like this, which I'll explain in the other slides. So the basis of innovation is very simple. It is descent. Why? Innovation means you have to change what is already there. So what is the basic, first thing, first step for innovation is you have to question what is there now. Then only you can innovate. If you don't question what is available, then how will you innovate? So I see a mouse here. So to innovate something on that, I have to question something. I have to ask why it is so big. Why is the mouse so big? That's a question. Then you'll think of how to innovate to make it small. And second thing is, why I have to put one small button to every laptop? Why can't I have something permanently kept inside? Every time I lose a mouse or lose the pin, again I have to go for a new one. I'm just giving example. So first one is that you have to push back on what is already there actually. If you are a yes sir, yes sir, yes sir, yes sir, like people like me do in the government, we don't innovate. You have to dissent. You have to say that, no, sir, I have a different idea. Whenever you say no, 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 you are allowing a new thought process to come. There's a new idea to come actually. So the new idea, when put to action, is innovation. So dissent, that is divergent thinking, is required. Pushback is required. If it doesn't happen, if divergent thinking doesn't happen, then we don't dissent. If we don't dissent, we just say yes to whatever is happening. If we say yes to whatever is happening, there's no innovation. Let's see how things actually happen. Why you are not able to innovate. Next slide, ma'am, please. So this is actual photo taken in a discussion room. Of course, if I ask a question, I mean, I don't know whether we can ask an answer. So I can, people easily say it is somewhere outside India, definitely. Look at the small issues, but just observe it. Look at the table. How is it? The table is square. Everybody seems to be equal. I don't see any chairman sitting here. Even though we can make a guess, we don't know really actually. Right? Okay, now let's go to a meeting in India. Next slide, ma'am, please. Indian, this is the typical meeting that happens in, if you go to Vidhana Saudha, Bangalore, go to any meeting hall, it will be like this. There will be one chairman, and there are a lot of people there actually. And what happens? The chairman says things, everybody accepts. The number of people who tries to push back at the chairman are very less. Look at the environment itself actually. It shows that I am the boss and you guys have to obey. If you have any problem, let me know. Whereas, look at the earlier picture. Nobody is trying to say, communicate non-verbally that I am the boss. They're trying to say that, oh, we are here to discuss something and come up with an output. Whereas here, somebody has something in his mind and he's trying to communicate to others to work actually. This is a small observation. I mean, there are so many things which you have noticed. I just want to bring one small example like this. So in the both the situations, where do you think innovation will be more? Of course, the earlier one, because people feel a sense of equality. They don't feel a fear. They don't feel scared to talk. Whereas in government department, most of the time there's a one is there's a fear. Next is that the disinterest also saying that already they decided they're only informing me. I have to follow it. So this is the environment for equality, and the dissent is very, very important for bringing in innovation. Whenever there is a teacher student requirement sort of thing, relationship, dissent don't come there actually. So thanks. They moved to the next slide. So we are talking about this dissent. So there is a very important book written by these two authors, Darren Esimoglu and Robinson. They've written many books. One of the book is called The Narrow Corridor of Economic Development. In that book, they wonderfully, scientifically, mathematically say that economic sustainability is possible only when there is a space for a dissent. There's no space for dissent, no innovation, no sustainability. They put it in a very simple, nice graph, which is the next slide. So look at this small graph. Don't go by all S1, S2, etc., etc. I have taken from the book directly. Please bear with me. I didn't have time to redraw it. So it says the society, the people, the citizens have some power. What is the power? They can any day come to the road, protest against the government. You have seen the revolutions happening. In revolutions, what happens? The people come to the road and overthrow the government, the state, the authority. So if you see on the flat x-axis, we have put the power of the society. And in the y-axis, vertical axis, power of the government, the state. So what they are saying is, in certain places, the power of the government is much, much higher than the power of the people. Means The government decides, do like this, what I'm saying. You can't come and protest. This is happening in countries like Russia, China, etc. So they are towards despotism, toward despotism. In some places, the government is weak. People are more powerful. For example, Afghanistan, Lebanon. These are the examples where people can do whatever they want. There is no complete control of the government. The authors say both despotism and disorder are not conducive for economic growth. Economic growth happens when both are balanced. There is a red color arrow. The power of the state and the power of the people should balance, and they should give a small narrow corridor where both the powers are balanced. That is where economic development happens. It is nourished. Like UK, they've given an example. They generally say democracy is that narrow corridor where both the powers are balanced. If you give more power to the government, it becomes despotic. If you give more power to the people, it becomes disorderly, anarchy. So both should match. This is the narrow corridor where economic development happens. So this can happen only when you push back, when people push back. When people think, oh, whatever government doing is very good, they're happy. Then what happens? You're not pushing back. You're not allowing the corridor to come, a corridor of economic development. Next, please. So dissent is the foundation of innovation. Dissent, what it requires? First one is equality. We have to be, all of us should think we are equal. Otherwise, dissent will not happen. I tell something to my driver, my home model, I tell something. I wish he had the equality feeling to give me a feedback, saying that, sir, what you're telling is not correct. I tell my driver, please take this road. Driver should tell, sir, what you're saying is not right. That road is not the best road. We shall take this road. Nobody says. Very few drivers say that. And the driver who says that will be good for you. This is how equality should come. You don't dissent under this equality. And you would have the freedom to dissent. You may feel equal, but you may not have the liberty to say it. There may be, rules, regulation which don't allow you to talk what you feel. That should not be there. You should have a liberty to talk what you want. The third is what I call it as inclusive diversity. Diversity will be there. Everybody will be there. Why I call it inclusive? Because when there's a inclusivity, then even though people are diverse, they feel together. They feel like a family. And that's called fraternity. So the concept of equality, liberty, and fraternity are required for innovation. They are all in our constitution, actually. Yes. Innovation requires these three qualities. You have the three qualities, innovation will bloom, innovation will grow. You take away these things, then innovation will suffer. Next slide, please, ma'am. So sustainable cities can be made on this pyramid. So the foundation is innovation, which comes from diversity, means participation of all the public. You can say that, sir, we already have a council. The council is not the proper representation of the people, because one person who is winning the election by first past the post. You know the system, actually. So if there are 10 candidates, the first candidate gets 20% vote and others get 18, 19, 16, 15. 20% vote person becomes the representative. Mind you, balance 80% did not support for him, but still he is the representative. So what I'm trying to say is, the system of election what we have now is not adequate. I'm not saying it is wrong. Maybe we don't have a better system, but it's not adequate. How do you bring adequacy? Apart from the elected people, please bring citizens also into the fold. Create a mechanism by which citizens can participate. Let there be diversity. Many people cannot stand for election because of lack of certain things. They should also be given a platform to voice their opinion, actually. That is where diversity comes. And when diversity is there, when dissent will be automatically there, because everybody will not agree a particular issue. More and more people are there, more dissent will be there. Now I'm talking to all of you. If I have only 3 people, one may dissent and say, no, Mr. Manivannan, I don't agree with you. Suppose I have 100 people, the chance of having a person saying, Mr. Manivannan, I don't agree with you, is much more high. I have 1,000 people, the probability is much more high. There will be some 20 guys saying that Mr. Manivannan don't agree with you. So more participation, more diversity, more dissent. More dissent, more idea actually. So this is very important. Innovation. Second is delegation. Delegation, because on the platform of innovation, you have to have delegation of power. And the third is speedy action. If these three are done, this pyramid will stand strong in holding the sustainable cities. We can talk about mobility, we can talk about IT, we can talk about entrepreneurship, everything stands on this. If you don't have this, whatever you create will not be sustainable. They will soon fail. That is why I'm talking about the basic foundations: innovation, delegation, and speedy action. Let's go to the next slide. Yes, this we are going to talk about the summary of whatever we discussed actually, and afterwards we can take the questions. So the conclusion, the call to action is to bring innovation, create formal models for citizens to participate and have transparency. So the innovation is that you have to bring participation and transparency, which will put innovation into a positive cycle. More participation, more transparency, more innovation. The positive cycle will keep on rotating, throwing innovative products continuously, keep on throwing actually. And second, encourage dissent and inclusive diversity, which feeds the innovation actually. It is like the power which rotates the positive cycle is the power to dissent and the diversity. They keep rotating the positive cycle of innovation. And third is that we have to create a legislation for both delegating the power and absorbing the genuine errors in decision making and while learning. So this is the summary of what I have been trying to say. And the last slide, which gives my phone number. So if anybody wants to contact me, and if you think the time is not available here, feel free to send me a WhatsApp message in this number. I'll be very happy to further clarify why I have come to the conclusion why I am talking this actually. So you can put the last slide also, ma'am, where my phone number is available. So now we can take the questions actually. Thank you very much for listening to me, listening to whatever I've been telling for such a long time. Thank you.
So
Thank you so
thank you
much,
so
sir.
much, Monish, sir. Yeah. Yeah. Yes, Mazruma.
Just thanking sir. That was a very enlightening session, very informative. Thank you so much, sir. Yes, and now we'll be taking questions. Karthik sir. Karthik sir is there? No.
Yes, ma'am. Can you hear me, please?
Yes, sir. Would you be please taking the questions?
Yes. Sir, good evening, sir.
Yes, good evening, sir. Please.
Sir, you have a first question from Ms. Jyoti Venkatesh. Can you
Sir,
please specify in which domain or area the India is leading on GDP?
sir, which domain India is leading? Huh? I'm not able to.
Yes, sir. Yes.
Which domain India is leading? Okay. One which comes to my mind. Of course, I am an officer working with government of Karnataka. My knowledge about where India is leading may not be right, current, but what I know for sure is in defense production, with the participation of the private sector, there is a huge transformation. I also work as a major in the Indian Army. I am the only IAS officer to be working parallelly with the Indian Army. It is not a honorary rank. I have given the exam. I have passed SSB and I have been selected to work in the Army. So every year, 2 months, I am with the Indian Army. 10 months I am with my IAS work. So why I'm saying is I have got first-hand experience about the quality of materials which have been using earlier in the army, and now with the participation of private sector like Mahindra, like Tata, they have started participating in large numbers currently now. And I must say the quality has improved. The speed at which innovation has happened has increased. So that's one we are doing. I think we are doing well. And
I think,
other things
yes.
where we are doing well, I think I have to really search. Probably conducting the elections, not easy to conduct elections for such a huge number of population. It's difficult, but still we are doing it actually. Yes. Thank
Yes,
you.
sir. So you have a next question from Ms. Subbalakshmi M. Do you think privatization will improve innovation and improve the opportunity for smart cities?
Good point. Okay, very good point. So I would assume that privatization means it is going to bring a sense of equality, a sense of transparency, and a sense of equality. Because I mean, we all know in private sector the hierarchy is much less. That's what I have been exposed to. For example, if you go to Infosys, I mean, whenever invited, I have gone to the Mysore campus. So I see a young, fresher joining Infosys. I mean, I've seen my own eyes talking to Nandan Nilkani. Nandan, can you explain to me this? I mean, in government, you can't explain this. You can't. I mean, if I go and tell my staff, I've told a number of times, many of my staff, please try to call me by name. They don't. They struggle actually. In fact, for my junior colleagues, I have to tell them that if you call me by name, remove the sir, I'll gift you a book. So then some 10, 15 guys now, even now, I'm very happy to share that those colleagues of mine who are joined the service 10 years, 15 years after me, they call me by name. They call me Manivannan. They don't say Mani sir. And I have gifted them books. And I'll be very happy if they can talk to me without sir, because it breaks the barrier. The minute the other person calls me without sir, he feels more comfortable to talk his mind openly. The minute he says, sir, 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 that openness is not there actually. So I would say private sector brings in a level platform for everybody. And like promotion also in government, you do work, you don't do work, you're almost trying to get promotion, but not in a private sector. You have to really work. So in that manner, I would feel that any organization, any support, any system which has the principles of equality, liberty, and fraternity will definitely do well. Either the government embraces it or it allows somebody who has already embraced that. That will definitely help.
Thank you, sir. Here is the next question from Ms. Vinuta. What's the major reason why India is lagging in innovation? Is lack of funding research work is the reason for that?
I would say there is a lot of money being spent, say in DRDO, the Defense Research and Development Organization. The lot of money spent on labs across may not be as much as US or Europe is spending, but we also spend a lot of money. But the output, 19 patents versus 1,000 patents by China, clearly shows that we are suboptimal. Definitely, what China is spending on innovation is, if I'm right, around some 7 times more than India actually. But 19 to 1,000 is how many times more? Think about it. So I feel that we are not able to innovate because we have barriers. We have hierarchical barriers actually. I see if 10 people sit in anywhere in the world, particularly developed countries in US or UK or Europe, 10 people sit and they discuss about one problem, I think there'll be 10 different solutions coming out. In India, if 10 people sit and discuss, the senior most person by age or by authority or power will come with one idea, and one 5, 6 people will support it wholeheartedly, and one or two will think it is not good, but they'll keep quiet. So you will get one or only two ideas. Where is the loss? Loss is in our system actually. Please stop the system of saying sir to people. Please feel equal. It's in a blood actually. I am talking so much, but when somebody whom I think is my subordinate, he tells me something, immediately you feel, hare, this guy is teaching me. That's what comes to our mind actually. But I have kept on telling to myself, no, all are equal, all are equal, all are equal, etc., etc. So that even the person in my office who cleans my room also tells something, I patiently listen actually. And second is, I asked him to sit first in the chair. Normally, they don't even sit actually. Sorry, I went into Canada actually. So normally they don't even sit. When I joined IAS in Dharwad in 20 years back in 2000, none of the officials in the office will enter with the footwear. They will leave it outside and come inside. So this is the elephant in the room, which we are ignoring actually. The elephant in the room is lack of equality. Equality comes, ideas will fly. Imagine all our batchmates in the college sitting together in a restaurant talking. We will talk without any hesitation. Hey, what you're doing is wrong, man. Don't talk nonsense. This will come here like this. Imagine how do you sit and talk in our company or our organization. In government, I can say, we never talk like that. So bring in equality, please, please, please. You bring equality, ideas will come. Ideas will get converted into innovation, actually. Yes.
So just a clarification, since you said, is it not the respect? Because when we call a person by sir, is it not that respect that we are giving to the position that we are holding and the knowledge that they have? And because it
Excellent,
happens in our
excellent
teaching
question.
career as well.
Sir, I am so glad you asked this question. Thank you for asking this question. This has been asked in so many places. I go back to Nandan's example. So the fresher has more respect for Nandan Nilkani than I may have actually. I can see in his face, he respects him so much. But the respect is not sacrificed in calling him sir actually. He calls by name, out of respect. When I studied abroad also, we used to call the professors by name. Does it mean we don't respect him? No way we respect them. So what happens is the custom has taught us that respect
Yeah,
and what you call hierarchy is being what do you call it made equal actually. It is just our mindset. That's all. Nothing more than that. I'm not asking to disrespect. Please respect them actually. But let questions be asked. For example, our own family. Take it. The child when he's very young, my younger son actually asked me openly question. He will counter me. Appa, you told not to do this that day, but you are only doing it because he doesn't have the fear. It doesn't mean that he doesn't respect me. He respects me, he loves me
yes, yes.
actually, but still ask the question because he doesn't have the fear in his mind. Over a period of time, he kept on telling people, no, this is your place, this is your place. Then we feel comfortable because nobody likes to be questioned actually because you have to spend extra energy to explain yourself. We don't want it. So easy thing is, so your question is very right. What I would like to say is we are thinking like that because we have been sort of it has been put in our mind for a long time actually, conditioned to think like that. We have been conditioned to think like that actually. So if you don't say sir, my people think that, oh, I'm not giving respect to him. Same question came to me. ಇಲ್ಲ sir, ತಮಗೆ ಹೇಗೆ ನಾವು ಈ ತರ ಕಾಲ್ ಮಾಡೋದು? We have to call you
Yeah.
by sir actually. How can we do that actually? But I think that is the biggest glass barrier. Let us smash it. Nothing is going to happen actually. If private companies can do like that, you go to any good private company, you go to Google, you can go to Bosch, you can go to Toyota. They don't do this stirring business or going
Yes.
behind somebody bringing this bag. Nothing happens. In government, if I carry my own bag, you'll be shocked. People feel very uncomfortable when I am carrying my own bag. The guy coming close to me, he feels, Kodi sir, please give me, please give me. But tell her, yeah, it's my bag. I am only carrying it. And finally, you know what I have started telling them? I'll tell him in the airport when they come, I'll tell him, hey, I have gold in my bag. I am not going to give you. Then they laugh and they don't
So
touch it
that's
actually.
a simplicity that you carry because you have understood the reality.
Sir, yes, sir. I'm telling you, it makes me feel better. And it also, I am trying to make people encourage to question me, to talk to me, because when somebody questions me, I also put my ideas on a test bed. And who get benefits? I get benefit actually. I should thank him for that. So this culture should come, sir. That will only push India up actually. We have a lot of talent, all in a small well. Each of us live in a well. We don't mix so freely. The minute we mix, will become the real superpower.
Okay. So we have a question from Ms. Chandrakala Venkatesh.
Yes,
How
please.
social hierarchy and representation of economically weaker sections in India is impacting on economic development and innovation? Sir, is it impacting? I don't think so. Is it, sir, from
Sir,
your point of view?
sir, this is a very interesting, wonderful, uh, I would say, very deep question actually. What I have observed is that the hierarchy definitely affects our economic growth. I am not just telling from my side. Please allow me to explain it. My professor in Harvard, uh, Ricardo Hausman. Ricardo Hausman was heading the World Bank for long years. Then he came to teach in the university. So he has published papers. He has said that what he has said is that if economic development has to happen, he calls something like collective shared knowledge. He doesn't call knowledge. He say shared knowledge. What he says is every country has people who are knowledgeable. but that doesn't matter. If there's a guy who is like Einstein, is alone, he says it doesn't matter in economic development. It may matter in getting his patent. It may matter in changing the theory of physics, but it doesn't help in economic development. Why? He says that now the world is flat. So you can survive only by creating a market in the world. Only with the domestic market, you can barely survive. You can't flourish. So what he says, to be able to export to other countries, you have to produce something in the global level, which is highly value added. For example, you should be able to sell cell phones, smartphones. You should be able to sell automatic cars. You should be able to sell robots. To do that, he says, you require not one individual with huge knowledge, but 10 individuals with shared knowledge. That's what he's trying to say. He says the carpenter, the blacksmith, the goldsmith, they have some knowledge, but it doesn't get mixed with the people who have money, maybe the capitalist, the literary figure. It doesn't get matched. It doesn't flow at all. They'll be staying in the same colony for 50 years, 100 years, but it doesn't percolate at all. What he says is, in a society where the knowledge is easily shared, there the knowledge becomes 1 plus 1 11, and it helps in creating complex objects which can be sold across the globe. So equality and absence of hierarchy matters a lot. He gives an example. He says that in a blue collar, in a manufacturing hub, people sit together and talk. Say a foreman, a chief general manager, and say a person, a mechanic, they sit together and talk. The knowledge shares. They all can sit together in the same table and talk. Not in India. I worked in the Bokaro steel plant for 4 years before joining the IAS in 98. You know what? There are 3 sections in the canteen. One section for the officers, one section for the foreman, and one section for all the other workers. See, we ensure they never mix each other even while eating. That is how we are. Imagine if you are together, what knowledge will come? Because in the working place, we don't get time to talk and we are focused on the work. Having lunch, having tea is a time when things can join together. You go to TVS, you go to Toyota, you go to Volvo. There's a same one canteen from top to bottom. The MD also comes and sits with the mechanic and talks actually. That's how knowledge flows. And that's how knowledge doesn't flow in government setup actually. So the question is a very interesting question. And I feel that the social hierarchy matters in a negative manner. It does obstruct the innovation happening. That's my humble submission. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you so much, Major. Dear participants, considering the time factor, we have very more other questions as well, but we'll ensure Major Manivannan responds to all your questions through other platform. Major, on behalf of St. Francis College, ACT coordinators, on my personal behalf, and behalf of all the participants, a sincere gratitude from all of us side for your time sparing for all of us talking about the sustainable urban growth and giving all your points to uh to all the audience. I'm very much sure every one of us, including me, we are very much inspired by your words. We definitely take it your suggestions in terms of enhancing the patents, innovation, and work on it. And thank you so much, Major Manivannan. Thank you so much, sir, for your time. I'm very sure you had a very good session with us, talking to everybody here. Thank you so much, sir.
Karthik sir, thank you very much for having me here. And they are
Thank you
free
so much,
to
sir. Thank you
WhatsApp the
so
questions to
much.
me. And I would be very happy if I get a pushback saying that I don't agree with your point on this. Like you said in between, actually. I liked it.
Actually, to be frank, sir, I was very much surprised when Dr. Pankaj Tiwari told sir
Uh-huh.
is very flexible in terms of responding to the queries. But I was just thinking, you're an IAS officer, like how come sir responds? I literally asked her, but today I understood how social you are, how you want that equality, or how you want to gel with people. I think that's where the place where you are today, sir. Hats off to you, and thank you
Thank
so
you, sir.
much.
Thank you, sir. One secret I'll tell you before I leave.
Yeah.
I am 52 now. In 8 years, I'll retire. I won't be an IAS. And this bigger secret, when I was born, I was not an IAS. Thank you very much.
Yes. That's what you have achieved in your life. Thank you so much, Major.
Thank you so much.
Thank you,
Thank
sir.
you.
Over to,
Thank you,
over to
sir.
the
So
anchor.
much,
Thank you, sir.
Wonderful
Manivannan
session.
sir. Thank you
Wonderful.
so much.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Dear participants, thanks for the be with us. Now, second session will be starting time. I call upon Dr. Anne ma'am. Please read the guest profile.
Am I audible?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Good evening to you all. I'm Dr. Anijan. I'm here to introduce the resource person of the day, Lieutenant Colonel Monish Ahuja. He's the chairman of Confederation of Biomass Energy Industry of India and a renewable energy expert. Lieutenant Colonel Monish Ahuja is a trailblazer in the renewable energy sector with over a decade of expertise in bioenergy and biomass supply chain management. He is the founder of Presbal. He pioneered innovative business models utilizing agricultural residues for sustainable and eco-friendly bioenergy projects. Recognized with the Biomass Man of the Year Award and Achievers Award for his contributions to the bioeconomy, he has also worked extensively on biomass tariff regulations in collaboration with the government agencies. A sought-after speaker at national and international forums, Lieutenant Colonel Ahuja is committed to advancing bioeconomy advocacy, project financing, and operational excellence in bioenergy ventures. With immense pleasure, I request you to take over the session, sir.
Monish, you are in mute mode. You are still on the mute mode, Monish.
Santosh, sir, would you please make him the co-host? Santosh, sir?
I did, ma'am. I did, ma'am.
Yeah, please make sir the co-host.
Yes, thank you. Now I
Thank
can
you.
unmute you. So thanks, Dr. Annie, for the introduction. Thanks for inviting me to make this presentation. It's an honor and pleasure to be here with the ATAL Innovation Training. And what is my mandate to talk about is the foundation of smart cities and their role in sustainable urban development. Uh, a kind of a disclaimer. What I will talk about is my experience in views. What I will talk about is the sustainable practices that we can imbibe and work towards. And it is for the audience to make their own assessment of how to take it up, going forward in terms of their academic pursuits, in terms of their teaching pursuits, and more importantly, in terms of implementation pursuits. Also, I think allow me to thank Dr. Pankaj Tiwari for bringing me on this platform. So appreciate it. Thanks, Pankaj, for doing this. Can I share the presentation or it would be done from the control side organization? Either way works.
I would prefer if you are able to, Monish, because that will be more
Sure.
easy for us to,
Sure,
coordinate.
sure. So I will do that. Yeah, just a minute. Please do let me know when it is visible, please.
It's visible, sir.
Thank
Yes,
you.
it's
Thank you so
visible,
much.
Monish. Yes.
Okay. So, India is a agrarian society. We are a society which is predominantly still living in rural setups or setups which are developing. we as a country ourselves are aspirational as set out by the Honorable Prime Minister and working towards a Viksit Bharat. So I think, so we need to build up our sustainability and sustainable practices bottom up, and that's where the challenges are. Our population is moving from rural to semi-urban to urban for better jobs, for better living, and we have a lot of pressure coming on to our cities and towns. And I think that's something which has caused a lot of pressure on our cities, and what better example than a collapsing infrastructure that you see in Bangalore in terms of transportation, in terms of the uh, the things like waste management, in terms of movement, and so on and so forth. And I think the administrations continue to grapple with this situation. So it kind of becomes a dichotomy where let's say we are going to talk about smart cities, and we are going to talk about foundation for smart cities and how we are going to have sustainable urban development happening. So I will just kind of uh, present what I have to do in two folds. One is the sustainable cities, and how we can develop our change management towards sustainable cities, but also take the audience through the sustainable management to happen from rural areas to the developed cities. Now, couple of things that I would like to present. One, in terms of the previous speaker, illustrious IAS officer, gone into territorial army, and again, I come from a defense military background, and I spent almost 14 and a half years of my first phase of career serving in the Indian Army. And then I moved out, and almost that much time or more now I have in the second career as an entrepreneur. So I have seen both sides, government and now private sector, and I think today, because of factors of climate change, what we call as EHSG, uh, environment, health, social security, governance, basically good practices, because of requirement of clean energy, because of requirement of growth that we need to do, going from underdeveloped nation to a developing nation to finally a developed nation, because of the economic growth that we seek to become a 5 trillion economy, and then a 10 and a 15 and a 20 trillion economy, because of the aspirations for our people that we need to meet, that all being in one side. But look at the flip side, where we are seeing what we are developing collapsing in terms of the climate patterns changing, collapsing in terms of flash floods happening, collapsing in terms of transportation networks collapsing, road transportation, etc., collapsing in terms of air that we breathe, the water that we have, and you can keep naming it. The mountains of municipal solid waste dump yards that we have in our cities, and these were initially outside the cities but are now within our cities, and so on and so forth. The carcinogenic elements which have come into our food, the fertilizers that we use for agriculture produce, but today it causing more harm than the availability of food itself. And we have, in our pursuit of economic growth, um, we have actually made the ecosystem so vicious that we are having to talk about bringing these sustainable practices back into our day-to-day living. So it's a problem statement to solve, and who's going to solve it? Is it mandated upon elected governments to solve it for us? It is mandated upon bureaucracy to solve it for us? Or is it mandatory for each one of us to be contributory and participative to solve it? And I think what is needed in our mindset and ecosystem is for each one of us in our own small way, small sphere, to be participative and contributory towards solving this problem. Unless that happens, it's not going to solve. So allow me now to take you to one element, maybe 10 minutes of this presentation, and this is what we do in rural parts. And now I will also talk about how it gets linked to the urban sustainability aspects that we talk about. So it's just snapshot of our journey, and this is reminiscent of how a entrepreneurial journey in the sustainable space with only an idea to germinate can become a business activity or sustainable business activity. So I started this company of mine in 2011, and the idea to start it was to mitigate the open field burning of farm agri residue. That's where we started from, that there is a resource, and can we use this resource in a sustainable manner for clean energy? And I'll just, again, give some statistical numbers of the energy paradigm. In India, we, talk about energy loosely as electricity. What I would like to mention is electricity is one form of energy. Energy is a complete encompassing paradigm of all forms of energy that we use. And the electricity component of that energy, where we stand today, is at about 20-21%. About 6 to 7 years back, it was at about 18%. Now we are at about 20 to 21% of our energy basket as electricity. And we are today in that electricity segment, about 206 gigawatt electric installed on renewable energy. And we have set a mandate by 2030 to have this as 500 gigawatt electric. Plus, please try and understand that even we are going to achieve this mandate, we will still be playing in about 22 to 24% of the energy basket, which means the elephant in the room is the balance 75 to 80% of energy that we use, and not the electricity segment. Yes, we need to clean up and make our electricity segment also sustainable, also clean, which we are on path to do. But I think where we have missed out as a country is that 80% of the energy basket to move towards the sustainability. And that's where, we will actually be grappling when we are moving ahead. Now, look at how this sustainability towards the smart cities and, sustainable urban development is going to come. What is it that is going to change, or what is it that we are going to mitigate and bring change for various elements of urban living to be upgraded to a sustainable ecosystem? Are we going to change the way we manufacture steel and cement, one of the two building blocks of urban India? Where we are today, very difficult. Are we going to change the way we build our road networks and ecosystem? Where we are today, very difficult. Are we going to change the way we use our transportation system? And transportation system is threefold: surface, which is road network, aviation, and the sea network. On the road network, we are pushing for EVs, and we will see a good number of EVs coming. But the EVs that we are powering, even today, despite the 206 gigawatt electric from renewable sources, is still predominantly only coal-based. And we as a country, to meet that electricity aspiration, are actually setting up more coal-based assets in India today. The government and private sector both have been asked to do it. So even when we might say that we are decarbonizing our road network by putting an EV there, in effect, it might not be so. Sorry. Now, so these are elements on the urban side which we will need to take care of. The other side of urban sustainability is urban planning, town planning, in terms of where and how we are going to allow development to happen, how that planned development is going to be there, how we are going to support that planned development in terms of basic amenities and utilities of air, water, which is virtually free. But today we are having to pay for something which is free in environment because it has become so caustic and polluting. And how are we going to build an ecosystem of urban utilities to be provided and managed by public and private enterprises for the sustainability element to get built? So these are large problems, right? Large problems to solve for people and government. And I think there are solutions. There are sustainable solutions to learn from globally, and also few within India. So, we'll have to quickly adopt this by a carrot and stick kind of a way, right? We will have to have strong policy, strong implementation, and set up this kind of a system where we will be able to manage this. So a snapshot, of this journey is just to show how we as an entrepreneur journey, I have been able to build a forward integrated farm agri residue to energy company, and how we have in this journey been able to galvanize global capital coming into this business in India. Okay, what do we do? We pride ourselves in positioning ourselves as a biomass supply chain management company. And where does this biomass come from? This comes from farm agri residue. So basically, what the nature does for us, photosynthesis, what the farmer does for us is growing crops. It could be for food, it could be for cash crops, it could be for commodity crops. All of it captures atmospheric carbon, which is CO2, in photosynthesis, which is a quantifiable number. Depending on the type of crop, per square kilometers of that growing, you can quantify how much CO2 has been sequestered. And that's the atmospheric CO2 which we have captured. Now, today, technologies of sustainability and ways of mitigation of what's happened with the environment talks about newer technologies for carbon capture storage, CCS, carbon capture storage and utilization, CCSU, carbon capture storage and utilization, etc., etc. So basically, the forms of energy that we need, and we should get that, should be from biogenic carbon and should not be from carbon that we are removing from the Earth's crust. And the carbon which has gone into the Earth's crust over centuries is something which is getting extracted for the energy in the form of coal, in the form of crude, and in the form of gas. So we are removing all that carbon, and the developed countries have done it, unabashedly continue to do it. And they have, polluted the world for us developing countries to look at. And today we are at a paradigm where we are told that you cannot grow utilizing that energy and carbon, but we are already a developed country, and yes, you are aspirational of being developing, but you are unable to do it, or you can't do it because you will pollute the atmosphere. So something which has already got polluted by the Americas and Europes of the world are today telling the global south, including India and the global south countries, that you can't do it. And well, it is good to listen to that you can't do it, but the others continue to do it and continue to pollute the ecosystem or the air for each one of us. Having said that, the working model in India, or the way we are, we would like to do things the right way, at least better than what the world would want to teach us. And that's where the sustainability aspects start coming in. Now, what this slide basically shows is this carbon which gets captured by the farmer in the growth, and after the farmer has sold their produce, there is the plant which is left. And that's where the carbon source is available to be utilized for all forms of energy. So we have a pan-India presence. We also have presence in the state of Karnataka where we work. We have a very strong board of directors represented by our investor shareholders and independent directors. So basically, we have corporatized and unorganized sector in India. We are also, the adage which most of you would be aware of, which goes by Jai Jawan, Jai Kisan, Jai Vigyan, and Honorable Prime Minister has now added Jai Anushandan to it. So basically, Jai Jawan is the youth or the defense forces. The Jai Kisan is the farmer. The Jai Vigyan is the science around it. And the Jai Anushandan is the R&D and develop around it. So our business model or the working fits to the T to all these four elements. And as you see, most of our key management personals are ex-defense forces people. Now, the mainstay of the model is the farmer. I explained that briefly. And that is where, we work with the farming community, we work with the farm agri residue, we build decentralized hub and spoke supply chain management. This farm agri residue or the atmospheric carbon, which is captured in a photosynthesis natural way, is then utilized, transported by us for clean energy. And this energy is in multiple forms, which we will briefly talk about moving forward. Now look at the client profile. And all these clients of ours are urban. What are they doing in the urban areas? These clients in urban areas have set up large factories, FMCG, pharma, food, textile, etc., etc. And that's how the urban cities have started developing because industrialization has happened. But all these factories traditionally have been using that carbon from the Earth's crust for their energy needs. And that's why the sustainability aspects, the clean energy aspects, the developmental aspects in urban centers has gone, kind of wrong. And what are we trying to do? We are trying to reverse this. How are we trying to reverse this? We are trying to reverse this by bringing the clean energy or the captured carbon from the rural parts to the urban centers and decarbonizing all these industries in urban centers. So one element, which is the largest animal of that 80%, is the energy used by industries, and it's not electricity. The energy used by industries, we are attempting to decarbonize it to make it sustainable. And we are not saying don't use that energy, because that energy is going to incrementally increase. But we are saying replace it with sustainable carbon, replace it with cleaner form of energy, reduce your carbon footprint, and become absolutely clean in a circularity of carbon usage and loop, so that our growth also happens, which is a requirement. However, it happens in a sustainable way and move this energy in this format. Again, large cement sector, and we spoke about why we need steel and cement, and we are working across the cement sector for decarbonizing large cement plants for their usage of fossil fuel, again with this biogenic carbon captured from the atmosphere. So how do we build it up? And if you see the top two photographs, this is of Haveri in Karnataka. And if you see this gentleman with the green scarf on his shoulder, when we engage with him, and this is about 2 years back initially, and in a short period of about 12 months, working with what we call as a VLE, village level entrepreneur. So we create this entrepreneurial network amongst rural youth, and this gentleman was able to buy one second-hand car and two new tractors. And from what? From farm agri residual waste, which he was only burning, or people around him were burning in the fields, is where an ecosystem of sustainable energy or sustainability has got developed. And now this energy is flowing from rural parts to urban centers. And the key part is what we call as bhagidari, equitable sharing of wealth, is something which is translated and seen by actually that wealth getting transported to individuals on the ground. Now these are the kind of equipment we use, and most of this is fit for purpose designed for post harvest farm agri residue management. And this is where, this farm agri residue management development of network, we empower these farmers and village level entrepreneurs, VLEs, by providing them these equipment, teaching them how to use it, allowing them to enter their own fields to use such equipment, and bring out this farm agri residue, which we create warehousing for them to deliver. And that's where the transfer of ownership happens. And that's where this farm agri residue now is the new oil, is the new coal, and is used for various forms of energy. Then we create this kind of warehousing. Some points open field, some points, we create proper warehousing, and we use and store is 24/7, 365 days. But the sourcing of that main, energy source for us is seasonal, is post the harvest. And hence we need to acquire that, quantum required for delivering to our clients, and develop that and store that. So it's about supply chain management, decentralized, small hub and spoke, but leading to large central usages of energy on the urban side. We also create, as part of our supply chain management, a network of network of holding biomass, so that we can provide just in time 24/7 energy to our clients or the ecosystem that we manage. Now, this is where another transition is happening in India, and this is part of the biofuels transition which is happening. And this is some, numbers of tenders which are happening with oil marketing companies. But the essence here to inform is now what is happening is we will transition towards sustainable biofuels, compressed biogas or renewable natural gas, ethanol, second generation, third generation, sustainable aviation fuel, green hydrogen from biomass. And this carbon now, which is available, the technology, the science, the biochemistry is available now to actually produce all these fuels that we're going to use in rural centers and rural parts. And what will that do? That will actually start moving the pressure from large scale urban centers and moving it back to rural India, where you would have jobs, you would have employment, you would have a better, ecosystem developing. And rather than migration happening only from rural to urban, we would actually now start seeing reverse migration happening, because you would have high quality jobs available in rural, networks, so to say. Now, how do you move this energy? Yeah. How do you move this? It's low density. You have aggregated it, but how do you move it to an urban center? How do you move low density let's take low density fuel to call it. So you need to densify it. And this is where now we have started establishing industrial scale plants in various parts across the country, where this biomass is densified into briquettes and pellets. And now that becomes a commodity with high density so that you can transport it. So these are few, again, warehousing and collection centers in rural parts, which we have started creating for such biomass. Now, look at this. What are we doing? This biomass now, we can sell as an energy commodity, but we are also taking this to industrial scale boilers, operating them for industry, converting it into renewable energy steam, and selling that as a commodity to industry. So we as an entity are doing the entire value chain, right from on-field farm sourcing to energy delivery to clients. And you see the kind of energy that is getting delivered. Now look at a snapshot of from where we started on the energy delivery side in 2013 and where we are today and how we see the progress happening. And this again shows a snapshot of how the energy paradigm is shifting towards sustainable energy and, mind you, profitable way of doing it without any government subsidy, without any government support. So it's about practices to be adopted and taken ahead. Now, we build, own, and operate these assets. So now what you see are industrial scale boilers, which we build, we own, we operate, we construct them so that we are a complete integrated energy utility service provider. Now, these plants are also actually burning, right? So you want to control what you're burning to the best manner so that you are putting out no PM 2.5 particulate matter or reducing it to the maximum extent as permissible by law. So you have multiple pollution control devices and equipment which is put. Typically, thumb rule basis, 10% of what you burn is balanced as ash, and this is pure carbon ash. There's no mixing here. And even that we take to paver block manufacturing. So we are actually able to account for the entire carbon right from source to finally, where it is deployed. And again, such kind of bricks which get manufactured go towards sustainable, paver blocks, etc., being used in urban centers. Now, I mentioned about the EHS, governance and safety standards. Very difficult in a country like ours to start establishing such standards in rural parts. Very difficult to control the farmer network. But these are good practices. And once people start understanding that the good practices are for their good, environment, health, safety, social security, governance, if these aspects are drilled in, day out, it becomes a habit in a period of time. So the societal change is possible to do right from the bottom of the pyramid, which is the aggregate economy that we have. And it can get built up. And once this change starts getting built up, the sustainability that we want becomes ingrained in an individual by habit. And that's the change we want to see. The change we want to see is movement in public transport, not each one of us taking our car to move out. The change we want to see is shared resources. The change we want to see is being conscious about potential ecological damage that each one of us is going to create and continuing to do so. And that's where, the sustainability aspects need to get ingrained and built up. So we keep doing it day in and day out, training as we learned in army days, continue to train and continue to train. And as much as you sweat in peace, that much you will bleed less in war. But we are today in a war zone. war zone with environment, war zone with sustainability, war zone with equitable existence. And so we are in a war, right? And you continue to do this training to try and mitigate and reduce what we have already damaged. Now look at our boilers. These are all photographs of assets that we own. Each of it is world class. Each of it is better than what you could see in a Europe, in a US, in the Indian network. At, yes, a cost, but even then we are able to replace for this boiler with a coal-based boiler, with a heavy oil or a diesel-based system and boiler, and hence we are cleaning it up. Now, I spoke about this and the projects that we do. Again, we utilize this farm agri residue. This is one of our projects in Punjab. We built it in a record 11 months. This was our first project. This just gives you a semblance of the scale and size of these sustainable projects that we build. And now this is sustainability moving from rural to urban industrial networks. We are an energy efficient company by virtue of what we do, by virtue of the replacement of fossil fuel that we do with these highly energy efficient boilers. We bring energy efficiency to industry. Besides the economic values and the carbon, we are also between 15 to 17% more energy efficient than a conventional fossil fuel boiler that they would use. And there's also something which I would like to share, something which is called as an energy ROI, EROI. It's, if you Google it, it's a published number globally. Energy ROI is actually a template and matrix globally published where the amount of energy that we spend for energy to be available for consumer to use. So it's measured in barrels of crude index. Earlier, the energy ROI number was 1:6, which meant we were consuming 1 barrel equivalent of crude for 6 barrel equivalent of product available for you and me as a consumer to use. This number over a period of time has now gone as to 2:5. So we use 2 barrels of crude equivalent to extract energy from the Earth's crust for and transportation, etc., for 5 barrels of crude equivalent to be available to us to use. And because we are going deeper and deeper into the Earth's crust, because we are moving continents of energy, etc., this number is expected to go to 2.5 to 4.5 and 3:4. And that means for every 4 barrels of energy that we are going to get to use, we are going to spend 3 barrels of equivalent of energy for it to reach us. Just imagine how inefficient. And now compare it with a decentralized hub and spoke network of something which is already growing with the farmers, and you are creating energy hubs of 50, 100 kilometers and not moving energy across the world and different continents. And hence, there are various parameters of energy efficiency. It typically does not mean changing a bulb and putting a CFL bulb and and becoming energy efficient. No, but the entire process of life cycle of energy movement needs to be seen, and that's where also we are today ESCO grade B, grade 2, one of the highest gradings that you get in India for energy efficiency. Now, I'll give you a use case example for urban sustainability. And bear me with this. We are a Hindu society predominantly. And as part of our culture, for our near and dear ones who die, and each one of us will, we want the cremation to be Agni Moksha. And by that, if you look at what we do, we are highly unsustainable because with each death, we cut down 2 trees. That is our society. We want to dispose of a body by burning. And if that burning has to happen, over a period of time, we have gone from chandan ki lakdi to normal lakdi. And if you look at entire India, and if you go to a crematorium, there is wood which is available there, which is given for cremation. But how is that wood sourced? It is cut from the nearest tree which is available. And hence, even in our death, we are unsustainable. Now, look at what we have been able to achieve, and we call this eco-cremation. What did we do? We didn't play with the sentiments. We said the sentiment of the society is Agni Moksha. Can we find a replacement for that Agni Moksha to happen with a sustainable resource? And why I say sustainable resource? Because the tree which is standing is a sustainable resource for a carbon sink. But the moment we cut down that tree and burn it out, we are not replacing it. So today we have programs of Government of India, Honorable Prime Minister talking about it, everybody talking about it, plant trees, because we need global sinks to happen, forestation to happen, to suck out that carbon from the air which we have put over centuries. And we, as the largest Hindu population in the world, ever growing population, with every Hindu death, we cut down 2 trees, equivalent to about 10 to 12 years of tree life. So what did we do? These briquettes that I showed you earlier in the presentation, we went to crematoriums and we spoke to municipal corporations, municipal commissioners, health officers, etc. And this problem statement actually came upon during COVID, where we realized that we did not have resources for disposal of COVID bodies. We had horror stories of multiple bodies on single cremation pyres. We had horror stories of unburnt bodies, etc., etc. And here we said, sitting in our homes, that we have biomass briquette, which I showed you as a resource available. Why can't we provide this for burning of those bodies or disposal of those bodies instead of wood? And that's where we attempted to reach out to government agencies and inform them, and they did accept it. And we supplied those briquettes to them. We were given special permission, but they were unable to use it. And they were unable to use it because the picture that you see, which we call as a cremation pyre, was not available or is not available in crematoriums across India. We do open pit Hindu cremation. We stack up wood, we put a body over it, we stack up more wood, but this is open pit. And it needed this, cage or an eco cremation setup to be established. And to my horror, the municipal corporation said, we don't have money to do this. So we said, allow us to do it. We will put the money and allow us in this, instead of wood, to put this sustainable briquettes and carbon, which is coming from the farm fields, densifying it, and then to do cremation. And the municipal corporation said, well, it is a very noble idea, very good idea, but society will not accept it. And our responses were, yes, you're right. We don't know whose society. We are society. So let us attempt and allow us to make this attempt. So to cut the story short, we started this in May, June of 22. The data that you see here, we started putting out from November 22. I put out this data on 1st, 2nd of every month on my LinkedIn and my Twitter handle. November 22, what you see is 28.57% of all cremation, Hindu cremation happening in the city of Aurangabad. So let's say plus minus 30% had shifted to eco cremation on 100% briquettes. And you see the month on month data, and April 24, city of Aurangabad, 93% of cremation has shifted to 100% biomass briquettes. Wood has been removed from Hindu cremation in the entire city, 38 crematoriums in Aurangabad city. Not forced societal change, but accepted by society. And now, in that ecosystem of sustainability, per cremation, there are 2 trees which are saved directly and indirectly. And you have a full sustainable ecosystem which has got developed. It was, it was a way which kind of brought forward to us an opportunity now to take this across India with urban local bodies, with rural local bodies, with NGOs, with Shamshan yogis, etc., etc. And you see some cities and what is there on the slide. But today we are taking this across India to allow those lungs of trees to remain. And again, I'm giving you an example of sustainable solutions, easy to do societal change solutions which are available, and not wait for government.
I think, sir, you're on mute. Please, can you unmute yourself?
Yeah,
Thank
my
you, sir.
bad. Sorry, I think there was a blip on my network. Allow me to just share the presentation again.
No issue, sir. You can.
Is the presentation visible? Okay, just allow me just a minute.
No, sir. Please share the screen.
It's visible,
Now
sir.
it is.
Yeah, okay.
Yes.
So we then took it upon ourselves that where can we again use these forms of bioenergy? And we developed these eco chula stoves for individual households, for community, cooking, for restaurants, for dhabas, etc., where we are moving forward to replace LPG, to replace coal, to replace wood with sustainable carbon, yet maintain the taste that we want in our food. We want the burnt smell in our food. We want that taste. So how can we do it? Maintaining the standards that we need, and these are solutions developed which we are pushing forward in urban centers for adoption. Okay, where are we going to move towards? Or where are we moving towards in terms of urban sustainability solutions? Second and third generation ethanol, a replacement for motor spirit or petrol. Compressed biogas, a replacement for CNG, or this is also called as renewable natural gas globally, or bio CNG. So we have the same specifications, but coming from farm agri residue or municipal solid waste. Replacement of wood, we have talked about various solutions. Green hydrogen, using that hydrogen element from the methane, from anaerobic digestion, from technologies for syngas production, gasification, pyrolysis, and getting that hydrogen as a new form of energy. Now, when you have this carbon, replace the entire biochemical and biofertilizer space for development of this chemical, because it is again carbon chemistry that you have to do now. Sustainable aviation fuel, take it to aviation, remove the aviation fuel and get sustainable aviation fuel. Don't change the engine system, but bring a cleaner fuel out of that circularity of carbon loop to bring that sustainable solution. Similarly, methanol for the same engine systems for shipping. Combined heat and power plants. Replace coal and fossil fuel from all our energy assets. Biochar. Biochar is a carbon sink. You produce biochar, so take it as a black box of technology, input of biomass, and apply this biochar to the fields. This is a carbon sequester sink, globally notified, and very recently in India also, where the topsoil carbon regeneration happens for the farmer. But more importantly, the atmospheric carbon gets sucked by this activated biochar carbon and it goes back to the soil. So projects like this in terms of sustainability. Now, all of this brings forward how are you going to fund it and finance it. And there are various global mechanisms of carbon credit, etc., which are available to fund it. For proliferation of the ideas, populating the ideas. I'm also the founder chairman of CBI, which is Confederation of Biomass Energy Industry of India. It has all stakeholders of this entire value chain, farmers, FPOs, technology providers, think tank experts, the big four, big five, banks, NABARD chairman, etc., etc. And we work with an inclusive motto of propagating this. We work with educational institutes like yours within India, globally as well, to start socializing sustainability, rural, semi-urban, and urban, and bring a bioenergy network into being. And I think one of the takeaways, what we have been able to achieve, is also India's G20 presidency takeaway of formation of the Global Biofuel Alliance. That was done by the heads of state on 9th and 10th of September. You see all the premiers, holding hands. And that's one of the takeaways of pushing the bioenergy agenda for sustainability for, the urban usage. More importantly, there has to be linkage of socio-economic aspects and what we are sharing with the entire ecosystem. And to make it inclusive, it cannot be that you are not inclusive on the gender side. It cannot be that you're not inclusive on the financial side. So it has to be inclusive and sustainable now and going forward. These SDG goals, 17 of them, most of you will be knowing that. What our business model fits is 10 of these, which are here on this slide. And if there are businesses which can give you these sustainable goals and development and fast tracking them, it should get adopted faster. And that's exactly, I think, what we are talking about. We are able to capture and promulgate numbers in terms of biomass that we use, in terms of tons of CO2 that we mitigate, and also what do we put back circularity in the rural economy. So these are numbers which are there, and we publish them each year. Now, because of the business model, I think we are awarded within India and globally. We are acknowledged as mission innovation champions. We are taking this model from India to the global south and to the world. And I think this is becoming one of the ways of delivering on the sustainable development goals. We are the best, awarded best renewable energy company, etc. Thank you so much, Jayan. I'm conscious of the time. Happy to take, questions. And again, more specifically, would appreciate, the continuation of the dialogue that we have had. Thank you. I can take questions, please, if there are any.
Yes, sir. Sir, thank you so much, first of all, for your session. And first of all, accept our apologies for starting around 20 minutes late. Sorry for that on behalf of the institution. Can we move to the questions, sir, with your permission?
Yes, please. Look forward to that.
Yeah. So first, we have a question from Ms. Jyoti Venkatesh. Can you please share your insight on why Delhi is still underway in managing the bio-waste?
It's not why Delhi. Delhi has a problem of the municipal solid waste management, if it is only Delhi in itself. But if the question is referring to Delhi going black, every year because of multiple factors which get initiated with the open field, farm burning, and etc., then there are two elements to it. One is the municipal solid waste management segment itself, which requires a change in the way it is managed. And that requires source segregation, societal change, movement of such municipal solid waste in different segments for it getting to be recycled, upcycled. That needs to be done, and that's an urban problem, and that's a problem in Delhi, Bangalore, every city. And we have to find solutions for these mountains of municipal solid waste. Every city we have these. So that's one part. The second part is Delhi going black because of the widespread open farm burning, etc. But it's not a Delhi problem. It's a problem across India. The farmers, because of want of utilizing their field for the next crop across India, burn farm agri residue. The farmers across the world burn farm agri residue. So it's not a Delhi problem. We associate it with Delhi because it's the capital. You have every possible ambassador, high commission there, and the media picks it up over there. Just to again give you a data point, the per square kilometer maximum number of farm fires in India is in the state of Punjab. Anybody here can tell me which is state number 2? So in the interest of time, the state number 2 is Madhya Pradesh. So your question is why Delhi problem, but my question is why Madhya Pradesh? And if you just look at the number of farm fires, number 1 state is Madhya Pradesh. Because of the size, the maximum number of farm fires are Madhya Pradesh. So the solutions which I have spoken about is about that sustainability of using this resource and mitigate that open field burning to happen. Now, the government is pushing, people are pushing, organizations are pushing it, but the economy of scale of the problem is so huge that the solutions are available and it takes time. So I have written a project called as Project 42. It's available on my LinkedIn handle and it's also available in social media. You can download it. It's called Project 42 because it is 42 million metric tons of rice paddy straw, which burns in a 45-day period in North India, which causes the Delhi blackening and smog to happen. And if we have to utilize this 42 million metric tons of resource, and my presentation showed you, we aggregate it, we do whatever we do to the scale that we are doing, it requires an investment of $30 billion to create that ecosystem. We are a country which is developing. Where are we going to find $30 billion to solve a problem of open field burning, and how soon are we going to find it? So, the answer to your question is there is a problem. There are solutions available, but there may be more priorities for government to look at. And each one of us is trying to do our best to contribute to reduce that damage.
Yeah, thanks, sir. So next question is from Kaustav Ghosh. What is the time duration of transforming paddy waste into biofuel?
So Project 42 talks about 11 sub-projects of where you can utilize rice paddy straw waste. Right from producing electricity, putting a boiler turbine generator and directly producing electricity, to heating solutions of boiler for steam, to compressed biogas, to second generation ethanol, to green hydrogen, to briquettes and pellets for replacing coal, to particle boards, etc., etc. There are 11 such solutions. Each of these requires a buildup of upstream, midstream, and downstream markets. So upstream, you need to develop supply chain management. Midstream, you need to set up these factories and assets for such conversion to happen. And downstream, you need to develop markets for usage. And to do this as an ecosystem of upstream, downstream, midstream, you need to also have finance in all three elements coming. So, as I mentioned, the $30 billion, if it has to get invested to build this ecosystem, you would have a $90 billion multiplier effect of a sustainable economy that you can build. And government is cognizant of it. Government calls people like me to make presentation. Prime Minister's office multiple times has taken that presentation. Niti Aayog, departments, cabinet ministers, they are all aware. And it's not that we are not working. All of us are working, but we need to do more. We need to do much more because we have reached a situation of dire straits. We have reached a situation where our pink lungs have become black lungs. We have reached a situation where child mortality rates have significantly increased. So, these are multiple solutions. So I'm not saying that what I've been able to give to you in the last half an hour, 45 minutes is all. There are multiple more things. And, we can spend days and weeks to talk about it. But what I am suggesting or what I am recommending is, y'all are going to be the champions to kind of, translate it to the youth. You are going to talk about it. And that's where the change, the societal change needs to start coming. And, we'll be happy to participate towards that.
So, in the interest of time, I'm keeping you towards the last question from Shivanjali Kesharwani. Why such kind of pollution control equipments has not been made mandatory for every such pollution creating industries?
It is mandatory. There are local state pollution control board norms. It is mandatory. It does get installed. However, we are deficient of requisite manpower for monitoring. And what happens is over a period of time, the industries start flouting those norms because once it's established and once it's running, then our audit systems are maybe once in a year. And that's where I would say, for lack of word, we start cheating ourselves on what we need to do. And that's where it needs, more emphasis for doing what is right, doing what is mandated. So today, the Pollution Control Board norms for particulate matter are less than 30 ppm. There has to be a stack height. So basically, you are going to release it above a particular height so that that effect is not there in the local, population. But I'll give you a simple example, which I gave you. You look at every restaurant, hotel, five-star hotel in your city. It uses coal and wood for their tandoors, because when you go and order a tandoori chicken, you want that smell, taste, and everything to be available. When you order a paneer tikka, you want that to be available. And what do? Every tandoor uses close to about 30 to 40 kgs of F grade coal, the worst quality coal, in that tandoor and in that cookhouse. And they have a small chimney which lets it out in the roof. So five-star hotel can still be 10, 20 floors, but it still leaves it out in the roof. And a small small kitchen leaves it out just above in that small chimney. And that is more polluting than this large industry. So a city like Bangalore uses more than 400 tons of coal and firewood every day in these hundreds and thousands of chulas and cook stoves which are running. And without any pollution control equipment, this is put right there in the atmosphere for us to breathe. So it's not about pollution control board not doing it. They are imposing it on large scale industry. You and me need to change. And that's where what I was trying to show you in terms of solutions of cook stove, etc., where replacement has to happen. Who's going to replace it? Is it mandatory to replace? No. So somebody which is already existing, why should they invest in that change? So we will have to have a process of change to get built up so that these sustainable practices which are available start getting utilized. It's a slow process, but we need to enhance it.
So thank you so much for answering some of the queries. Still, you have 4 to 5 questions, but the participants will ensure all your queries are answered by Lieutenant Colonel Monish Ahuja on the later part. Sir, on behalf of everyone present here, on behalf of ACT, St. Francis College, on our behalf as the coordinators and the co-coordinators, thank you so much for your time sharing with us the solutions, the data-driven solutions, the inclusive planning for transforming urban spaces into more efficient, resilient, and environmental friendly, responsible communities. Thank you so much, sir, for your time sparing with all of us here, sharing your thoughts, your contributions to the society, your future aspirations with the help of government. Thank you so much for having here and sharing your thoughts to all the
Thank you. So I
audience.
have shared my email ID and my mobile numbers on the chat. please feel free to reach out, do write into us. We would be happy to, support sustainable, endeavors, sustainable training. We would be happy to take in students, young students to come and do internships, to work with us, visit our sites. We are doing it for multiple institutions across India. And, we are fortunate to have today a pan-India footprint across 21 states. So we'll be more than happy to participate, to do our bit and, further bringing this or championing the cause of sustainability across various solutions.
Thank you so much, sir,
So
for
thank you, Monish. It's
raising.
so nice of you, and I really wanted to share with the audience. Monish is my classmate, and
Yes,
planning to.
I actually, Pankaj didn't share that. I should have in the beginning, but Pankaj and me go back to our 11th and 12th grade in school, and she was the studious types, and we were, as boys would be, we were the badmash lot, the class bunkers. But I think good to be connecting again, Pankaj. Thanks for
Yes,
inviting.
yes. So pleasure is mine, Monish. And on behalf of St. Francis, as Karthik sir has already mentioned, we are privileged to have you around. And definitely we'll be reverting back and to have more collaboration with you and the principal. And looking forward to work with
Thank
you.
you so much. Thank you so much. Jai Hind, good
Yeah.
evening. Bye bye.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Santosh sir, please take it over.
Yes.
One small request to the audience. Some of you have not renamed uh, your device names. We can see 10x, your mobile numbers, all those things. In order to track the attendance, we sincerely request to rename yourself with your name registered in the ATAL portal. Thank you so much.
Pankaj ma'am, I'm not able to share the screens.
Okay, I can see Priyanka is there. Annie ma'am, I would request you can please read out the profile and then we can invite Priyanka and then we'll be requesting her to share her screen because I understand there was some challenge of getting the PPT, but that's absolutely fine. Annie ma'am, over to you.
Am I audible?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Good evening to all. I proudly present before you the resource person of the day, Dr. Priyanka Shrivastava, professor at Health International Business School, a TEDx speaker, and a researcher. Dr. Priyanka Shrivastava brings over a decade of expertise in consulting and teaching core marketing subjects, research, and data analytics. A published author and startup mentor, she has contributed empirical research to leading international journals and consulted on customer relationship management strategies. Known for her excellence in experimental teaching, Dr. Shrivastava thrives in diverse academic environments, mentoring students and fostering their success. Her current research focuses on the integration of social media and digital environments, co-creation, and CRM. With a proficiency in statistical tools such as SAS, data, R, SPSS, and structural equation modeling, she bridges technical acumen with the practical insights. An advocate for holistic education, Dr. Shrivastava integrates logic principles into modern business lessons, nurturing future leaders. With immense pleasure, I request you, madam, to take over the session.
Priyanka, you are able to share your screen or you're not? Okay.
Santosh sir, have you made Priyanka ma'am the host?
Okay,
Co-host?
okay, ma'am. Okay.
Yeah, please make Priyanka ma'am the co-host.
Okay, looks like Priyanka is on mute. Can somebody please unmute her? Nazira ma'am, I don't have the host permission from my end. Kindly unmute her. That's what I
I'll
can
do
see.
that now.
Yeah, Priyanka,
Yes.
I think you are the co-host and you have all the
Yeah, she's
access.
the co-host.
Kindly.
She'll be able to unmute
Yeah,
herself.
yeah,
Yes.
yes.
Yeah, yeah, now I'm able to unmute myself. I hope you all can hear me.
Yes.
Okay. So thank you so much, first of all, for inviting me. This is, great setup. It was great hearing Lieutenant Colonel Monish Ahuja. Uh, Let me share my screen here before we get going. It is 6:30 a.m. my time, and it is great to start my day with you all. It's a great setup. So, do you see my screen on the full screen mode, or
Yes.
No,
I
ma'am, it's
believe you
not the
have
full
to do
screen
the
mode.
slideshow,
okay? Do you
Priyanka.
see it
Yes,
now?
it's good. Yes, it's
Yes,
good.
ma'am, it's fine now. Yeah.
Okay, sounds good. So, my talk today is on, AI for sustainability. How do we involve, how do we apply AI? Because, AI has become a new, term which is used in a day and age, talking about its application everywhere. But here I would like to bring focus on how to use AI for sustainable practices, and especially in healthcare industry, because when we talk about sustainable practices, there are various applications for it. So we will focus it on healthcare industry, healthcare practices. Okay. So let me show this picture for you, and quickly, what comes to your mind when you see this picture, or what is this picture about? Any quick thoughts? Anyone who would like to share on the chat window? I'm looking at the chat as well. Any thoughts coming when we look at this picture? Mount Fuji, yeah, Gustava Ghosh, mountain. Thank you so much. So here it goes. Gustav Ghosh has given us the right answer. It's Mount Fuji. Okay, and the second picture here. Let me bring it. The second picture here. Any guesses again, which is this mountain, K2? Okay, Vamsi, Mount Everest, Himalayan range. Yeah. So, so till now, I'm bringing back to Mount Fuji, all the, changes, innovations, breakthrough products which has come in. It's like scaling up or doing digital transformation, business transformation, and bringing the irony of climbing Mount Fuji. Okay, it's like, and if you if you're a mountaineer, or if you read about it, it's like, with a couple of days training, you can you can climb Mount Fuji easily. And that is how those transformations have been. Some training, some development, and yes, you are able to scale yourself to the transformations required for the innovations that have happened. But when it comes to Everest, it is said that it's like various peaks, and you climb up to one peak, and then you see the other one and the other one and the other one. Okay. The training, you can, even if you have trained for years together, you cannot take it for granted that yes, you would be scale up, or will be able to complete the mission of climbing up Everest. Okay. And when it comes to scaling up or preparing your organization for AI, they compare it with something like, climbing. I would bring out the same irony of climbing or reaching out or summiting Mount Everest. Okay, so because you do not know about the next peak till you conquer the first peak. Okay, so that's how things are when it comes to applying AI. and looking at its business applications, or thinking about how can we scale up or do the transformation of applying AI practices in our business world, and how can we improve it. So I would like to bring in some thoughts or some discussions around recent researches which I'm doing, and in terms of consulting companies, what are some of the challenges which are coming. So this is the snapshot, okay, of a research of more than 1,700 C-suite executives who accept that yes, there is a pressure to do better in terms of sustainable development goals. Okay, companies want out to be there, and it's onus of them as well. Organizations which are doing great, as how do they give back to the society? How do they do good in terms of sustainable development goals? And 76% of executives, after accepting that yes, they want to do better in sustainable development goals, they think 96% of them think that AI definitely can help them to progress their sustainable development goals and make them to be a greater society. But the reality is 75% of leaders believe that AI is essential, but out of them, 65% of them do not know how to use AI for sustainable development goals. Okay. So yes, the hike or the challenge of achieving sustainable development goals is certainly out there, with UN certainly laying out the goals that needs to be achieved by 2030. The companies want to be out there, and since it seems to be a complex topic, they think that yes, AI can be a better strategy to craft out or chart out that way, but they do not know how to do it. Okay, so let me bring your attention to the 17 Sustainable Development Goals defined by United Nations. Okay, and largely they are divided into subgroups like what are the societal applications, economic applications, and environmental applications to achieve these goals. But but in today's talk, we will focus on one aspect of it. The researches that we are doing is focused on all the three subgroups of sustainable development goals. I want to bring our attention to the fact that okay, how to bring in generative AI and healthcare use cases. Okay. So how do we define generative AI? What comes to our mind when we think about generative AI? Yes, I'm looking at the chat again. Any thoughts? Because we are talking about AI, we're talking about Gen AI. What comes to our mind when we think, or how do we define generative AI? Any thoughts on it? Please feel free to use the chat window or unmute yourself to give in your pieces there. Okay, models of AI. Yeah, feedback done. Okay. Okay, so you are saying it is a chatbot. It is based on neural networking. Yes, so you're correct. Or use of original AI content in neural networking. Yes, so it's like training the model based on the data that we have. Okay, and that is why it is called as data is called as a new currency that the organizations have. And yes, we are sitting with a large amount of data available. Now it is about how do we utilize those data points for our own benefit and to do larger good to the society. Okay, so the other conceptual term that comes in when we think about generative AI or large language model is foundational models. Okay. And foundational models, which sits at the core of any application or wherever you want to apply use cases of AI, generative AI. the one side of it is we have, yes, data is available, because of the paradigm shift in the way we have started to shop, to interact, to communicate. Data points are available in our fingertips, and organizations are sitting with so much of data. The problem is, yes, there is data, but the organizations have not realized what all benefit we can drive by utilizing data. So on one end of these foundational models is the large amount of unlabeled data which is available. Okay. And right at the core of any generative AI or large language model is the foundation model. I'm calling it FM here. And the output of it is, in broad range of general tasks. And there is where we would look at the applications of generative AI, or what is generative AI. Okay, so it's like those text generation, the chat GPT features that have come to mainstream, that we all have started using it. Information extraction just by looking at the large amount of data, or those chatbot features, as you will rightly saying in the chat window. Those are all those are different tasks that foundation models can perform, and many more. It's through the pre-training exposure to internet and scaling up data, there can be various tasks that foundation models can perform. For instance, a financial firm that needs to auto-generate a daily activity report for internal circulation, okay, using all relevant transactions that can be customized with the proprietary data that can be used, and the foundation models can learn from these reports, and can understand, okay, what is the hidden structure, hidden references that are lying, which can then be applied to a large broad range of general tasks. So so then the idea is, what happens and how do we decide it? How do we plan for it in terms of business benefits? Okay, so adopting these, the changes that are happening, AI, which has become a mainstream topic in discussions these days, generative AI and its application, a large language model, a foundation model. How can businesses use it for its own business benefits and for the larger benefits of the society? Okay, that's a question that comes to our mind. And the idea is, each and every company can do it. It is about having that mindset, or planning for the transformation that can happen, and planning for your data strategy, because we have seen the first step of running a foundational model is we having a large amount of data set. So is there a data strategy in place? Let's have another quick question. Which company was considered as the top search engine in 1997? So 1997 is not a very distant, yeah. So Dr. Pankaj rightly says it was Yahoo, right? And how things have changed. We are sitting in the closing time of 2024, almost closing of 2024, and things have changed so drastically, isn't it? So the idea is, yes, this can be done. The business benefits are there, but companies need to be out there, need to be planning for it, and applying for it, in terms of what can be done. Because if not, the cost of inaction in the field of AI, in the field, can be so huge that if companies don't gear themselves up, plan for it, then it can be something like this, that things change so drastically. What a company which was considered as a top search engine in 1997, it's not. We are not discussing about it anymore, right? And it is nowhere seen as the top search engine platform, right? So when it comes to thinking about approach to generative AI, one is, there is definitely, we don't think that one model to rule them, or one model fits all can be a method. we are already seeing many proprietary, open source, domain specific models that are coming in. Okay, so one way is thinking about democratization. Okay, how do we invest, how do we innovate across the different layers of generative AI, the 3 layers that we saw, right from unlabeled data to foundational models to the adoption and using it in various use cases for your company, for your organization. And then there is always choice and flexibility. So there are many Gen AI models to choose from, and how it can be, it can be built right from the scratch, looking at your unlabeled data, or there can be, you can leverage an existing pre-trained foundational models that can be used, that can be base of our models, which can be, applied on various use cases. So so that can be done without specific expertise in foundation models. So your company or your organization doesn't have to be doesn't have to be starting from scratch to build in a generative model. We can definitely use what is available, and can be applied into the use cases based on your organization, your company. Okay, so 2023, which brought in the stir of using AI and Gen AI, which I would call it as a year of POCs, which is proof of concepts, right? Wide range of interest was seen in multiple use cases, and when we reach out to organizations, and they have already done a lot of experimentation, a lot of checking from their end as to what all can be done, and for any company or any technology, it takes 4 to 5 years to achieve where Gen AI has come in last few months. And it is a testament that yes, it is on meteoric rise, and the intense curiosity is definitely sparkled in terms of questions. Okay, what are foundation models? What are large language models? How do we choose a model, and so on and so forth? So yes, the experimentation and the proof of concepts that companies have conducted in this area is simply behemoth. But then what is important is in this year, and in 2025 I will shortly talk about it, but then 2024 has become an year of production. Okay, so how to succeed in launching a production grade system that deliver tangible business value for the organization. So production mindset definitely clicked in 2024, and it says that foundation models are just one part of larger system. Okay, but then embracing the production mindset is important. Okay, considering I would also like to bring in your attention in terms of what is the compliance, what is the governance, what is the responsible AI strategies that organization to take. So unlike the proof of concept model that we were talking about in 2023, production workloads require definitely in terms of sustainable investment, and in terms of demonstrating value, in terms of improved efficiency, what is the cost saving going on, the new revenue streams that have come in, right? So we have we are seeing that transition coming in from the proof of concept to the production mindset. And it is important that we start quantifying the benefits. Okay, so here comes in that, okay, you are saying that, okay, executives are interested in applying AI for achieving sustainable development goals, or using their database for the greater benefit of the community, for the society. But then when it comes to scaling up, then it is important that we drive tangible benefits that the organization can learn, right? So so here is where some healthcare use cases. So so we start with right from unstructured data. Okay, petabytes of data is available when it comes to looking at the healthcare system, right? So imagine those clinical scan documents, lab reports, radiology, pathology image reports, clinical procedure reports, and handwritten forms and tables, right? That we do for insurance claims or so on and so forth. There is huge amount of unstructured, unlabeled data available. Okay, data is not easy to use or analyze. Okay, because 97% of such data is unstructured and definitely unused also. Okay, so we are sitting at that number, that 97% of it is unused. Okay. So every healthcare provider, the payer and the life sciences company that is trying to solve this problem of structuring this data can operate more efficiently, improve patient outcomes, and accelerate the decision making, by applying these Gen AI strategies. So we have like TechScrat. It can automatically extract printed text from insurance claims and forms, handwritten medical notes and documents. Okay, so you can just click pictures of handwritten documents and upload it on the AI platform. Like Amazon has a text rack. Okay, so it can automatically extract information. Okay. And then it can comprehend medical record also. So large language processing service that can be enabled. You can actually map each extracted piece of information to associated medical codes with, and that too with high accuracy, because we are talking about healthcare sector, healthcare services. So it's certainly very important that it has to be a higher level of accuracy and low latency. Okay, so so there have been medications to diseases and conditions that can be done, based on this. And the idea is, and the one of the major application of this is, right, like data lake. We can have health lakes created where you can, as an analytical service, where you can store, query, and analyze health data for a complete view of patient's medical history. Okay, so that can be done. And the top use cases, if I talk about it in terms of practices, is accelerating insurance claims processing. These are there. It can certainly improve the sustainable benefits. The how it can be done. When UN has laid out the requirement of sustainable development goals, then one of the charter says that the difference between rural and urban section of our society, how can we bridge that gap that existing. And healthcare practices certainly is a differentiating factor when we talk about the two stratas of our society. And we can definitely bridge it by applying some of these methods and accelerating insurance claims, or the scale at which you can give healthcare services to a person sitting in rural part of the society where he doesn't have access to all the healthcare benefits. We are we can definitely improve and accelerate the process by scaling up, by accelerating it, improving the population health, which is again a UN charter that can be done from here. So we have many use cases where, for example, a company called Anthem, which is able to use these. It has digitized the whole process. Okay, and they have automated 80% of the benefits of the processing by completely relying on AI. Okay, so that's one of the company that we work with. And so these are some top use cases where we boost medical scribe efficiency, and we create patient-friendly consultation recaps. Okay, so So you complete the whole documentation using AI generated notes. You expedite the documentation turnaround time, okay, and then you're giving an accelerated customer experience, so patient experience, we would say, by quickly recollecting the key highlights of the conversation and then following up when we say an individual doctor who is not able to follow up on a regular basis to a person sitting in the in say rural part. Here is a setup where this can be automated, this can be used, and this can be implemented for a better this thing. Okay, so I see there are some questions coming in the chat window. Jyoti, is it okay if we look at it at the end of the this thing? Yeah, thank you so much
Yes,
for
Priyanka, you can
keeping it
continue. We'll be
engaging.
taking towards the end.
Yeah, thank you so much for keeping it engaging. I love the questions coming in the chat window. Okay, so then Gen AI has potential to create significant business value, right? So we have in terms of new experiences, in terms of productivity, insights, and creativity. So by creating conversational interfaces to access information and application by employees, by customers, it can boost employees' productivity by many folds, by helping them creating content, coding, and images, extracting insights from large amounts of data, of documents, making it easier to share knowledge across the organization and take better, more informed decisions. And using Gen AI for product identification or product development. There has a recent report come in by Stanford Medical Care, which says that only AI models treating a patient versus only doctors treating a patient versus AI models and doctors together treating a patient. The third scenario where there is a collaboration between AI models and the doctors available, definitely the efficiency and the productivity and the whole process is much more superior than a model alone are treating a patient. Okay, so we are seeing that collaboration coming in. It is about how Gen AI can support clinical workflows by listening to patients' conversation, just conversation, okay, summarizing the clinical notes, consolidating the records from various sources of of emergency health records, and then optimal imaging and diagnosis based on patient data. So right from clinical workflow to care management, patient engagement, education research, we can definitely improve patient engagement by Gen AI and self triage capability. Okay, proactively communicating with patient. Offer post-discharge care guidance. Okay, so think about yes, a person from rural India could manage to come to urban locations, take the requisite care that was required at that time, but we can apply the Gen AI capability to offer post-discharge care guidance. Okay, generate patient-friendly reports, and these LLM models, these foundation models, can talk in various regional languages. So we also bridge in the gap of the difference that languages can bring in, and can make it more consumable information, more understandable information to various rural societies. So Gen AI can boost research efforts also by automated data cleaning, cross patient queries to identify clinical trial matches. Okay, and for enterprise functions, chatbot serves as educational need for medical students. So not only that, in terms of education and research also, these chatbots can be used for educational requirement, for helping search documents in the field of various clinical departments to give us those information. Okay, so so that is where we are, and when it comes to the full service documentation, this is how we when we consult companies, we say that, okay, let's say your customer is a pharmacy, okay, and you're working in healthcare department. You can have a use case of customer service chatbot and apply it in various use cases. Right now, I'm working in United States, but I definitely see myself applying it in India, where my heart and mind definitely lies. So so there is a the problem of something like the transparent pricing is not available, or to the prescription delivery. How can we fasten the whole process to between urban and rural India, or how can we look at customer service? How can we give a better customer experience? How can we improve the customer service? It can, there are various problems available, and yes, there is solution in terms of applying AI ML model, large language models, embedding these models for information retrieval, and generating solutions based on it. And the fact is, yes, when all this can be applied by keeping in mind the guidelines driven by the that the industry has to appear to, that HIPAA guidelines that we say. So we can apply all these, and 99% of the prescriptions that are generated, definitely the customer, the patient privacy comes into place, the guidelines which comes into place. But all those regulations can be kept in mind when we facilitate this innovation or automation coming in place in case of the industry. Okay, so the idea is, when companies reach out to us to identify, okay, how do we apply, how do we use it? AI is, we also want to be in the forefront and want to apply AI practices. The idea is, we first think about, do we have a data strategy in place? Because the data is the differentiator. When you want to build a Gen AI application, you're organized. The key factor, which is important to be considered is, do you have a data strategy? And and every company can access foundational models, but the companies that will be successful in building Gen AI applications with real business values are the ones that are utilizing the data well. Okay, so data is the difference between generic AI application and those that know your business and your customers deeply, right? Because it is about what is your organization's goals and objectives, and how am I using a model to reach the goals and objectives that we want to achieve, that the organization want to achieve, and not talking about a generic application, right? So we are seeing very creative Gen AI use cases, using intelligent conversational chatbots in regional languages, generating programming code from text, summarizing long form narratives such as books and transcripts into simpler prescriptive suggestions to the patients. So those are coming, right? And so let's look at some of them. So here is where the model uses strong data foundation. Okay, and you can have your data strategy in place first. Okay, integrate the set of data services, all the workloads, all the use cases. Okay, and then thinking about storing the query, structured, unstructured, and vector data. So I'm not saying that everything will be structured. No, we have these models which can handle the unstructured data as well. Okay, and integrating, so choosing which extraction tool. Okay, ETL tools, the extraction, transformation, and loading the information. You can easily connect to all your data sets, right? And data needs to be secured and governed throughout the life cycle, building the various use cases of Gen AI. So yes, the tools which are available, definitely we need to weigh in terms of data quality, privacy, access control, and so on and so forth. So so these are the strategic recommendations on Gen AI use cases. Okay. So no matter where you are on your journey, or any organization for that matter, or your industry, your size, these are some of the recommendations that we definitely give to the organizations. As part of my consulting experience, I've laid out that yes, it is important that generative AI is a very early stage of the technology. So building a company culture for continuous experimentation and evaluation of different models, it is important, right? So you prevent early dependencies on only a few select AI product offering. No, that should not happen. It has to become a continuous experimentation. There are companies which just want to be in the forefront of Gen AI, and they think that, okay, we will apply it and we will do it. But then it's not just one-off cases. It has to be a constant process, right? And then flexibility is the key. So, so continuous innovation, where flexibility from technical contractual lock-in, that is important. And underlying scaling, the infrastructure support, let's say the cloud infrastructure that is required for the third-party Gen AI integration, because we said that, right in the beginning, that not every company is required to bring the foundational model right from scratch, right? So if we are using a third-party Gen AI integration, then it is important that we do have the infrastructure to support it, okay? Because any model to be trained, we are talking about using large amount of information available, right? So where will that information be stored, or those data points stored? So we need to have that cloud infrastructure, or the infrastructure required, and a breadth of services in terms of long-term flexibility, business value is important in terms of in this fast changing environment, okay? Then the third point is not one size fits all, right? So think about Gen AI as an enhancement of your application, of your landscape and workflows. It is important that we think about financial resources, security needs, how do we buy versus build scenarios in depth. So, you do not have to build from scratch. You can buy from what is existing available, but we need to weigh in and evaluate these options clearly, right? So those are important. And then listen and enable. So work backward from your customers, listen to your domain experts to identify the key drivers that could that can have make or break a successful, I would definitely say it can be a make or break, when you think about a Gen AI application. So identify the skills, roles available in the organizations, and enable them with the right set of tools required, right? So those is when we say, then it's important that we move quickly, we customize, and we scale, okay? So so we are working with different businesses and building with Gen AI, but and these engagements have led to numerous learnings, okay? Learnings that help inform how do we build product to fit the needs of our customers, and learning how can we pass along to others to help them innovate, okay? So so those are but then it's, the large learning is it's important that organizations should move quickly, okay? And companies and nations should move quickly when they think about using Gen AI. Customize it based on your goals and objectives, and then keep about continuous improvement, about scaling, so so how do we move quickly and generate value? Across all industries, and you think about any use case, first is, how can I use this technology to drive value to the business? So that question needs to be answered, okay? because it cannot be a generic use case. It has to be for specific to an organization or to this nation or to the business that you want to drive value to. Okay, and how can I get my organization going quickly? Okay, so first and foremost, what we lead off in such conversations is use cases that are relevant, viable, and impactful for your business. Okay, so these may be internal to start with, to help drive efficiency, excitement while you learn how to innovate with the technology, or external, to as how you interact with the customers. Okay, so it can be both ways. And the second thing is using your proprietary data to maximize the potential of Gen AI. So the data is the key differentiator, as we already discussed. We need to have a solid foundation in place of how do we get going. Okay, how do we do it? And lastly, what is important is it is important to empower your workforce. So the most exciting part of Gen AI is the ease of use and the accessibility it provides to the customers. So AI definitely is not limited to to the machine learning engineers or data scientists, but it can be used by any, say, sales executives, marketing executives, people like you and I, the developers, the business analysts. So it's making this technology accessible to all, and you will want to plan out so that you can train employees, enable a culture of responsible building and innovation. But the idea is, how do we keep the benefit of the larger good to the society, the sustainable development goals that we were discussing? How do we keep that at the core and then think about application of it, right? So customized Gen AI for your business. Okay, you need to access the industry leading models to experiment it, right? So we have various applications coming in, like Amazon Q is building up foundational model where, on the application of Bedrock, where it can simply fit in the best of the specific needs available, right? So you just have the questions available, and what is important to understand is no two customers or no two organizations are exactly the same, right? So we need to have a broad and deep set of capabilities and tools to customize the options. And then always, when we talk about all these things, the security and privacy is the top most important, because here we are, even if you think about applying it in various society or various nations or building healthcare infrastructure, there are various GDPR, various HIPAA guidelines and regulatory standards available. So the tools and services to customize solutions with their own data, it is important that we adhere to the security and the privacy of the tool. And yes, there are models available which do comply with all these security benefits, and it is about services that marry these two things together and deliver the experiences which we need to see the results, and do it quickly, but yes, do it securely. Those are important and the key differentiators. And then experimentation to scale, as I have mentioned, we definitely, those experiment time of proof of concepts was 2023. Here is a time for scaling up, and in 2025 we'll see how going forward it is important that we scale up and design up the use cases largely into various forms, various aspects of our businesses, of our organization. So you need to measure and track the business value, right? So what is the business value? What is the return on investment? Optimization is important. Managing risk is the third test. Managing risk, managing trust, building responsibility. Okay, so how do we do it? And largely the right infrastructure to scale. So Gen AI is only a part of a much broader landscape. You need to have the right tool to develop on it. Okay, so build your business, customers, and use cases securely, right? So those are pieces. And then I would I would like to say that the security consideration is important, okay, in terms of, and these include right from compliance and governance to legal and privacy to control to risk management and resilience. Okay, so you would see those things coming in, and we are running short of time, but what is important is human in the loop, right? So you would see right in the center where I'm talking about control, human in the loop is important, where in this whole process of, let's say, digitization of medical health records, um, human in the loop is coming in, where when an AI tool has digitized everything, the human in the loop is validating the process. Okay, so in the whole strategy, deciding on the controls that you would have in the organization by keeping a human in the loop is important to decide. Okay, then everything will follow. Okay, and then lastly, it's important to have the responsible AI dimensions. Okay, so wherever you see the applicability or wherever you plan to adopt it, think about it in terms of what is the responsible AI features, and and then the best practices that I think is important for us to consider is putting people first. Okay, so it is critical to prioritize and deepen your workforce education, assess risk on use cases, so case by case basis, consider the risk involved. Okay, and then think about it, and iterate the AI life cycle. Okay, so creating an initial Gen AI system is just the beginning. Okay, like any critical business process, AI lifecycle is an initial Gen AI system. It's just the beginning. Okay, use cases, ideation, choosing a model, followed by deployment, and then continuous improvement is important. So test again, and then test again. Rigorous testing is a secret sauce, and a secret sauce for continuous improvement behind the cycle. So those are some best practices that I feel is important, and I thought of sharing with you all whenever it comes to applying it. And it's important, we do not know what the future holds for us. I spoke about 2023, how it looked like, 2024, 2025. Yes, so what does future hold for Gen AI? So various agents. Okay, so first off is agents. As the complexity of the tool and the application continue to grow, I have seen the rise in the use of agents to perform more complex tasks. Okay, in just few clicks, agents can orchestrate and analyze tasks, break it into correct logical sequence, and call the necessary APIs to transact. Okay, then multimodal models. So while large language model get the most press right now, increased adoption of agents, complexity of the society of these solutions definitely is highlighting the need of multimodal models. Okay, and then multiple models are picking up, right? And then AI policy and standards. So as broad AI regulation and standard continue to evolve and solidify, it's important that we look at what it holds and how will it evolve, and our commitment should be there to have a safe, transparent, and responsible generation, right? So that's how it is. At the last, I would just say, select the right use case, empower the team, okay, to innovate and with tools and trainings, and get started on your use case. We said it is important to act on and to move on quickly. So those were a few thoughts from my end. What I would like to say is, okay, so let me just I can
Okay. Karthik sir, are you there?
Yes, ma'am. Very much.
Priyanka, can we take
Yeah.
up a few questions which has been already been posted? You're comfortable now?
Yeah, so what I would do is, I can take a couple of questions, but I'm hard pressed on time. I'm already ready to commute to my work. It's morning hours my
Yes, ma'am.
time. So what
Only
I've
two
done is,
questions. We also have
yeah,
only two questions from audience, ma'am. That's all. I
sure,
think rest
sure.
all. I think as per you said, like we will forward it to you, so you can
Yeah,
respond to
I
the
have, I
respondents
have,
later. Yeah,
I've put
I'll
my
just
email
make it
ID in the
quick.
chat.
Sure, sure,
Yeah,
sure.
sure.
Can data lake store both structured and unstructured? There's a question from Jyoti,
Yes.
and one more question that she has quoted from the same person is it not required to have corresponding access point in remote areas to give a service? I think especially when you spoke in terms of AI, I think this question was posted, I feel. Is it not requiring to have corresponding access point in the remote areas to give a service?
Okay. So Jyoti, thanks for your questions, and thanks for keeping it engaging. So yes, data lake can store both structured and unstructured data. So it's like a repository or an infrastructure helping you to store your information. Okay, and various models, let's say, Amazon S3 can sit on the top of it and can fetch in data both structured and unstructured from a data lake. Okay, so in our use case, I called it as a health lake, which can be created for giving superlative customer experience or patient experience in this case, right? And corresponding access point in the remote area to give a service. So it's like access points is here, right? With the doctors, which is transforming the records and let's say your electronic health record, right? So the handheld machine to scan is available right at the rural location. Okay, so rather than having those big scanning devices, let's say companies like General Electric have developed handheld devices that can be used to scan in information and to get patient information from there. But doctors not sitting right at the rural location, right? Doctors available in an urban location sitting out there. What these practices, this innovation can help us to do is it can expedite the process of reading those, the handheld scanning data from the doctor and giving in the required what is the first hand medical facility that should be given to the patient. So earlier we used to wait for that record to be supplied to the doctor reading the record and then thinking about the practices, the measures that needs to be taken for patients journey. And the whole process would take time because of the gap existing in the rural and urban community, right? So that can be expedited, improving the efficiency, improving the productivity, and the first hand measures that was supposed to be taken only with the doctor. Now the AI tool can also give in the basic the first hand measures that can be taken. So the human in the loop that I was talking about, the responsibility of the human in the loop is definitely there. Even now, the importance of understanding of what the steps should be taken by the doctor is important, but the whole process has become much more efficient and much more productive, right? So
Ma'am,
I
one
hope.
question is on my behalf in a simple way that you can answer. Like developing countries like India, like how far are we to believe this AI, especially in healthcare industry? Like, are we ready for it? Because yes, I do agree the present and the future is AI in all the fields, not only healthcare, but like the people in India, especially developing country like India, like are we okay for this? Are the
Mhm,
like do you think people believe?
mhm. Yeah, so thank you so much, Karthik, for that question. Yes, it's and when we think about applying it in India, the use case is can bring in far-fetched more importance than think about applying it in any developed nation, let's say in Europe or in United States. So it's we can achieve far more. Now how far is the community ready for it? We are sitting with information. We need to think about how do we apply it in our own model. So it's important that we start acting on rather than thinking that the innovation is not
Yeah.
good for us. So it's important to start moving towards it, moving the needle, and then thinking about in terms of how do
Impact.
we bring in the strategies in place so that it can be applied in a large geographical condition like India or demographic society like India. So the idea is those healthcare records, let's say General Electric made those handheld devices to fetch in data. So right now data is available, but then how do we expedite the whole process to do it, right? So
Yeah.
so that can be definitely where AI can be leveraged. So
Yeah.
society has to open up and we need to move the needle quickly for it.
Yes, yes. Yeah, thank you so much, Priyanka. Like considering and respecting your own time and other further commitments, definitely on behalf of ACT, on behalf of St. Francis College, on behalf of our coordinators and participants, thank you so much for accepting our invite and presenting for last 60 minutes about the AI in the healthcare industry. Thank you so much on behalf of everybody. Please accept our gratitude on
Thank,
everyone's
yeah.
behalf. And thank you so
Thank you
much.
so much. It
Over to
was
Dr.
great.
Pankaj and Dr.
Yeah,
Nazura.
yeah. Thank you so much. It
So,
was great
thank you,
starting.
Priyanka. I
Yeah.
know we have been looking forward and we've been working together for to get you on board today. And I should be really, appreciate your effort and the kind of slides. It's really pretty impressive, I would say. So, thank you so much for taking time out. I know you're quite occupied with your schedule, and we'll look forward for more collaborations in the near future as well.
Thank you so much. Thank you. It was wonderful
Thank
interacting
you.
with them. Thank
Yeah,
you so much.
thank you. Yes, so participants, please stay back. Some of the instructions to be given for tomorrow. So participants, before we close for today, because I understand today was a quite a long day for all of us, and we tried doing at our pace. So thank you so much for being there and listening patiently and putting up your questions together. Being the part of the ATAL FDP guidelines, we will be actually calling you out, some of you, on everyday basis for the reflection of these sessions. So in the interest of time today, I will not be calling out the names separately, but tomorrow when we'll be beginning the day 2 sessions, I'll be messaging personally whom some of you can come over and reflect on the day 1. How did you find and what was your overall feedback? So
Ma'am, at least one can we take today, if anybody is interested in just a minute of reflection. Anybody?
Karthik sir, you're saying something?
Yeah, Pankaj ma'am, can we take 1 minute reflection at least today from some of them?
We can do that.
If anybody is ready,
Maybe
at least one.
someone is interested.
I think Dr. In
It's
anybody?
actually
Can you please raise your hand or put up in the chat? Just want to listen from you, like how was the sessions of today?
yeah.
Okay, I think we have in the chat.
Maybe I'll do one thing. I'll send out personal message and let them prepare. Tomorrow we'll give them extra 15 minutes. We'll start 5:45 because tomorrow onwards we'll have session between 6 to 9 till Friday. So I would request kindly be prepared. And some of you, please ensure that you are using your display name as the ATAL portal, whatever the name you are, registered in the ATAL portal. So please do that and kindly use your email ID which you are using for the ATAL login for the same for the Zoom. Otherwise, you'll be missing out on your attendance. That's the reason I wanted to get a 1 minute extra from all of you. So thank you so much for joining today and such a wonderful audience, such a good questions you have asked. Over to you, Karthik sir. We want to close the formally now.
Yeah. So I think since morning, I think pre-inaugural session, we had one. Like after in the evening, we had an inaugural session, post followed by 2 sessions. I'm very sure all the participants must have had knowledgeable sessions from all the speakers, all the 4 speakers, including the inaugural, pre-inaugural, and 2 panelists or 2 resource persons with 2 different topics. I'm very sure people must have been benefited. Thank you so much to ACT for giving us the opportunity to organize ATAL Online FDP to all the participants and get the community together and collaborate each other in terms of knowledge sharing. Thanks to Dr. Pankaj, coordinator of ATAL FDP, and thanks to all our support team and our members who supported us today to host this. Thank you so much, everybody, the teaching fraternity who supported us today in terms of right from managing the Zoom till the end of the sessions. Thank you so much, everybody. Thank you to all the participants. It's already 9:10, but you are
Sir, I
still
would
with us.
request if you can read out the names of the organizing team members because that's really valuable. Because without their support, it was not possible. So, can you
Yes,
please
yes,
read out their
definitely,
names,
ma'am.
sir?
So, Dr. Nazura Javed, Associate Professor and Head of the Department of MCA, Dr. Annie John from the Department of BA, Dr. Santosh Kumar, Head Department of Kannada. Have I missed out anybody?
I believe
Sharat
Sarat sir was also there,
Sharat,
if I'm
Sharat.
not.
Yeah. Dr. Sharat is from the Department of Commerce and Assistant Professor from the Department of Commerce. Thanks to all 4 of you. It's already, as I said, it's 9:11. You're still with us and supporting to host this one. Yes, it continues for 5 more days. Yes, I'll keep my gratitude still pending to Saturday. And thanks to each one of you who are here, I can still see 211 participants are there. Thank you so much for your attention in detail to listen to all the sessions. Thank you so much. Over to Pankaj.
Thank you. Thank you so much and good night to all.
Pankaj ma'am, they were asking about this feedback for the second session.
Already
Ma'am,
sent
will
it, ma'am.
be posted. Again, I'll be posting.
Posted, no?
I'll do
Yeah,
that right
because I
away.
saw some messages. That is why I'm asking you, ma'am.
Yeah, I did post, ma'am. I'll do it
Okay,
again. I'll do it
Can we
again.
hold
fine.
5 more minutes, ma'am?
Yeah. Just be there for 5 more minutes, sir. I'm just posting the feedback link. I believe the recording has to go. So I
Okay,
believe this time the recording is on the cloud.
sure, ma'am.
Yes, this time it is on the cloud, ma'am.
All right. So I'm switching off, ma'am. So thank you. I'll see you tomorrow, ma'am. Santosh, sir.
Bye, ma'am.
We can stop the recording, ma'am.